Welcome to the show, and here are your hosts, the diabolical Elite Gaming Guru, the illustrious Red Dead Panda, and the Australian stud AshtreyGaming. So let's get this party started. Shit.
And we're live. Welcome to episode 111 of the Gamers Initiative podcast.
Hello.
Elite.
Hello, I'm here. I'm
Welcome.
just trying to figure out how to send K-Mega the invite.
You say that every
right.
week for a guest.
I know. How do I do it?
Oh, man.
I found his name.
Well, you could right
I'll
click.
invite
His name will
Sarah.
be in all
There you go.
caps, I think.
Do.
it?
Anyway, while Elite's trying to figure out how to invite K
I think I've sent it to him.
we have two. Ah, there we go. K-Mega's just joined us.
There you go.
Yeah, it worked.
Right.
All right, there we go.
There we are.
There we go. Right.
All right.
Now we can get this party started. Hello, mate. Welcome. We are live at
What's
the moment.
going on?
We just
Okay.
got you in.
Yeah.
Can you
my
see
bad.
just so before we get started? That's all right. No, that's all right. Can you see all the topics in the chat?
In the Discord chat.
If you go to podcasts, in the Discord chat under podcasts, there should be a bunch of topics.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
There you can see them. There should be 12 of them. Ashtray wanted loads of topics.
Okay. Ah,
Well,
Episode.
We're live.
Should it say
Let's
top
go, let's
episode?
go.
We haven't- Yeah. Let's go then. Right. Anyway, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us for episode 111. That's 111. If you're unsure, we've got myself and AshtreyGaming, the usual group. Unfortunately, Red Dead can't be with us. She's joined a cult, I'm afraid.
The
So
PlayStation
we're
cult?
just yeah, not that savage. She's joined a cult, so she won't be with us this week. We're sort of paying to get her out of it. 'Cause she was one of these ones you had to pay to get them out of. So we're sort of trying to get some money together and see if we can get her out of the cult. And hopefully, she'll be joining us next week. Until then, we've got some fabulous guests. We have got, who's just joined us, K-Mega. Hello, K-Mega. We've got, once again, Mr. Bushido and Infinite Umbra. Welcome, guys. How are you guys doing? All good?
doing all right.
All good.
Yeah.
Abs-
How about Doing yourself? good.
All good.
absolutely.
Can't complain.
Yeah, so actually, I'm going to jump on. Cause I'm going to spoke to K-Mega for a while, actually. So, K-Mega, what are you doing? What are you up to? And what have you been playing, most importantly?
Been playing a little bit of everything, but I'm right here at the end of Forspoken. I'm ready to finish that, get that off the list, because if I don't finish it now, by the time that Madden drops on Monday and then everything else that comes after that, I probably won't finish that game until sometime next year. So I'm right there at the ending. Forspoken. I will have to say, after the PC patch, going back to it and playing it, man, I'm really enjoying that game. So I would hope that when that game does drop on Xbox, I hope people give it an opportunity, especially if it potentially might drop on Game Pass or something like that. Like I would recommend people playing that game. It's a slow grind, but it's really fun. The combat is superb. Other than that, I was playing Exo Primal. Diablo, Street Fighter. I had a chance to play the Tekken beta. Lost my mind. Played that all weekend last weekend, and then just got Atlas Falls. Put a couple hours in that. Oh, Atlas Fallen, I should say. And that looks like that has a lot of potential to be a fun game. I know that the Metacritic score is not the greatest, but yeah, that's just kind of jumping around, playing all different types of stuff, man. So
Ooh, you're going to jump into Quake 2. That's now one of the
I
topics.
did
actually.
see that. I know that Sir X-Man is definitely going to want me to jump in and play. I mean, I'm not the biggest Quake player, but I'll jump in and get my head beat. There's no question about it, so.
Yeah, it looks dated. Mr. Bushido, what you been up to? Where you been? What you been playing?
I've been playing the same game for the last few weeks. I have 100 hours in it. Just because, now it's not that I haven't finished the game, but just because I'm enjoying it. There are more secrets to be found, and I can't stop playing it. And that's Remnant 2. I've been sinking so many hours in the Remnant 2. So I'm hoping I find all the secrets before Starfield's early access jumps off, and that's about it.
Yeah, excellent. So who's it made by, Remnant? Who's the
Gunfire game.
developers? Oh, right, okay.
Gunfire, yeah.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to most coming out? Are you going to be jumping onto Starfield when that drops, or are you going to stay on Remnant?
I'm
How
gonna
about
be
you,
on. No. I'm gonna listen. I love Remnant. I think if any other year, this could have been a Game of the Year contender, but
Oh.
I'm gonna say that I'm gonna drop it like a bad habit when Starfield comes out. And the other game I'm looking forward to after Starfield is Lords of the Fallen is one, and the other one is Alan Wake 2.
Oh, yeah.
And
About
and
you,
I,
Kamega? Are you... Oh, go on, sorry. Is that what you can say?
no, that's it.
Oh, I was saying, Kamega, I didn't ask you. About Starfield, are you going to bounce into that? Maybe drop Forspoken?
Oh
Or are you
yeah,
going to finish Forspoken before you jump into it?
Oh yeah. That's why I'm getting ready to finish Forspoken and I have Remnant 2 as well. I dabbled into that, but again, there's so much to play, and when Starfield drops, there's everything else except for Mortal Kombat and Cyberpunk's expansion will only get play. Everything Starfield will have the majority of my time going forward.
Oh, excellent. I think it's Umbra with us. He's muted at the moment. I'm not sure if he's still there. Umbra, are you there?
I am here.
Oh,
Hello. Come on in, Umbra. What have you been up to? What have you been playing?
A bunch of things, man. Mostly podcasting, it seems. I had my podcast yesterday night on the Fix. And if you all are not in the mix, you're not getting your kicks. I'm sorry. That was the blackness in me making me rhyme. No, man, we had a good show on the Fix yesterday night. It was actually a really long one. It was 3 hours and 24 minutes, and I didn't expect to do that. But the discussion was so good, man. It was myself, Daniel was my co-host, and we had C Money and who else? Epic Treasure as guests, and it was a really good discussion. We talked about a bunch of things there, including Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff like that. But it was just, man, you know how like some conversations you have just flow, even though it was 3 hours, it didn't feel like it, and that was really the case. But yeah, that podcasting really, and I've been playing some games. I just got off Halo a second ago, and I was playing. I need to get back on it tonight. But Atlas Fallen. So Atlas Fallen, I'm really enjoying. I haven't gotten really far, maybe about 3 hours in. So, but from what I played, I really do enjoy it. I think the combat is really nice. I like the gliding on the sand and everything like that. It does give me a bit of Forspoken vibes, I will be honest, because of the gauntlet you talk to and the way that you glide around on the sand is kind of reminiscent of her speaking to the gauntlet or whatever, her bracelet, and the parkour style running that she did. So it's kind of similar in that way. But other than that, the combat is much, much more satisfying, I would say. Because I thought the combat in Forspoken was trash. You didn't even feel that you were hitting the enemy. I hated it. I despised it.
How far
Played
did
3
you
hours
get?
worth. 3 hours worth.
Oh yeah. Now see, I'm almost 60 hours in, and
Oh wow.
You really like it had some of the best combat that I played in recent memory because there's so much variety. But if you play 3 hours, that like the first, I would say, and this is one of these things that with Square Enix games or big games like that, it takes so long for people to get into, and so they kind of fall out of it, and that's really the problem with it. Like after like this, I would say like going after maybe 8 to 10 hours, that's when everything starts really rolling. According to how you play. So
that's tough for me.
Yeah,
That's
it's
like
like tough for a lot of people. Yeah,
yeah, it's a long wait. It's like we had the discussion way back in the space, but remember that we were talking to Aaron and we're like,
yes,
how long does it take for what's the name of that game? Death Stranding. He said about 5 hours. I'm like, I'm not waiting 5 hours before a game.
Yeah, I can't.
Just
I
not doing it.
I can't help you with that.
I'm meticulous, right? Like I'm a person that likes to try to touch every bit of the game that I possibly can. I mean, I'm not a completionist by the stretch of it or anything, but I'm saying like I like to build my
fully
character
explore.
And get my character as powerful as possible. By the time I get to the end boss, I'm finna wipe them. I'm going to be done. But
I only like doing it with good games though.
Yeah.
Well, and see, that's the thing with this game is that, like, again, like the story aspect of it is bad until after maybe that 10-hour point. But you could probably get to the point to where the combat is really satisfying if you just kind of skip the all extra open world stuff and just go into just the story mode stuff, and then you can get those extra powers and see that it benefits. But I mean, every gamer has a different opinion on every different thing. But I would think that I would say give it another chance if it's a game that's going to, because it's eventually it's a time exclusive. So hopefully it'll come to Xbox here in about a year or so. And if it comes on Game Pass, I would say give it another try, and then let me know what you think about it. But other than that, I mean, right now, I'm like, the combat is stupid.
Yeah, if it's something I don't have to pay for, maybe I'll give it a try. But I definitely wasn't paying $70 for that. And
I didn't pay $70 for it either. No, I didn't pay $70.
And the achievements might give me more incentive, but other than that, man, I don't know. But yeah, 8 hours though, that's a tough one to ask. Give it 8 hours and you might like it. I'm like, I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
But hey, each their own. I just didn't enjoy it, but I'm glad you did. But other than that though, I think Atlas Fallen is pretty solid. It's actually $60. I have a stance against $70 games. I won't do it. I won't pay
agree.
that. Yeah, so
you won't flip flop like phones on that?
Yeah, much like Fonz and exactly. Me and him talk about it all the time. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I got Fonz gave in
for $37, so that's why I was like, I don't know about the $70. That's why. Yeah, so that's why I feel more more gratification about Atlas Fallen than for the price range. Yeah, so.
Yeah, makes sense.
I think I'm going to do it for Starfield though, to be honest. Yeah, so just because I want to get in early as well. So is Forspoken definitely coming to Xbox? Was that confirmed, or is this going to be just one of those deals?
They never confirmed it, but it had a 2-year exclusivity for PlayStation, so I'm guessing after that.
They lost so much money on it already.
Right. Yeah. It would behoove them to bring it to Xbox and to PC.
I've noticed that usually when games are exclusive to PlayStation, it's sort of kept quiet when they're coming out on Xbox, but when it's the other way around, you're more or less told when they're going to PlayStation in advance.
Yeah,
I've
true.
noticed that.
They get the luxury of foresight. We got to guess.
Yeah,
we've got to guess when it comes. Yeah, that's straight. It's just dropped now. So, but I'm going to just fire straight into the topics because we've got bunch of them. Unless you want to tell us what you've been playing, Ashtray.
No, I haven't played much this week. I've been traveling for work and stuff, so I just jumped in and played a little bit of Quake 2 last night just to get a little bit of footage, which I'll put up a bit later. Or I've had some up already actually. So that's about it. So let's jump into the first topic, man.
Okay, first topic is Microsoft shortens its Xbox Game Pass trials just before Starfield's release. So the $1 Xbox Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass trials are now 14 days instead of a month. What's your view on this? I'm going to start with Infinite, actually. Personally, I don't care, and I think it's needed to be done. I'm surprised they're even doing the $1 deal at all. But go on, Infinite. What's your opinion on this, mate? Let's start far with you.
I'm sorry. You said what's my opinion on what now?
on the $1, they've dropped the $1.
The Game Pass
access
from 1 month to 14 days.
To 14 days.
I think that's fine. I don't see much of a difference. I guess it's also because I'm also a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber and have been for years. Yeah. So it's like, maybe I'm like being elitist, but I'm like, I don't care. I think it's 14 days. I think $1 for that. To get 14 days is more than a deal. So personally, but I mean, it's also to incentivize people to come to the service. I get it. I mean, it was only so long before they could actually try to, increase their profit margin, right? Because they were basically giving the thing away. So I'm not mad at that. Yeah, I know our Hoove brothers can't use it as a thing anymore. Oh, I only paid $1 for blah, blah, blah. And I got the month. They can't use that. But hey, listen, I think it makes sense. You got Starfield about to drop. You have to increase these subs. You got to get people in there for the long haul. So I get it. 14 days, I don't think anybody's really going to be done with that game at that point.
No, man.
Anybody 14, who's seriously playing it.
Dude, 14 days, that won't even scratch the surface of the game. So it's
right.
A perfect marketing tool to just get people to play it for free or for $1, whatever, for 14 days. And then they get obsessed with it. And they're like, all right, that's it. I'm signing up. and they continue playing it. So it's a great idea. If they should have done it
That's
probably
why I think it should
sooner,
be
but
7 days.
the 14 days is still pretty good, man.
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid.
You know, it gives people enough time to get invested in it. Whereas 7 days, you know, people have lives as well, right? So they're not necessarily sitting on the couch for a whole 7 days in a row just playing it straight. So 14 days gives them that opportunity to get sort of entrenched in it, and then they kind of can't not play it. And so that's the plan. That's the idea, and it makes sense to me. So it's a good idea. Yeah. And look, it doesn't affect any of us here on the panel at all, but just the casuals. And, you know, that's just normal. Yeah. They just treat casuals the way they do all the time, so it doesn't really matter.
Yep.
K-Mega, what'd you have to say? Because I've started off with a nice, light, easy sort of topic to start, get us going.
Yeah, no, it's
what she said.
I agree. I agree pretty much. I mean, that was what I was going to say is, I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, when you have these bigger games, and you especially have one of the bigger titles that's coming out for Xbox this year, of course, when you have those stands that keeps talking about, well, I got it for a month for $1. Well, now you only got it for a half a month. So, and I don't think you're even paying, and you're not even paying $1. You're paying what? I think 10 or 14 now. So it's one of those things to where the more games that drop, the more bigger titles that drop into Game Pass, the more attractive that it's going to look, because there's no way, like Umbra and others were saying, like Starfield's going to be just too big. You know, you are not going to beat that game in 14 days, especially if you have a life. You know, you got work, you got family, you got other things that you got to take care of. There's no way that you're going to beat that game within 14 days. And just the other titles, like you got Lies of P and then just other games that you got probably in the backlog that you haven't got a chance to play that's on Game Pass as well. It just makes a better incentive for people to get the game to get Game Pass for a few months instead of just getting it for a full month for $1. So it's really good, really good marketing tool and strategy, in my opinion.
Yeah. Bushido?
I want to take a different stance. A more controversial.
Here we go.
I love how ponies love to say, I got this for $1. And you guys pay full price, but they're the same ones that say they support the devs and they spend X amount of dollars on a game, but you won't do the same thing for Game Pass. Just funny to me. But no, what I want to say is I'm tired of Xbox doing that. That they should stop doing this. It literally should be, in my head, the way I look at it, the only way this should be still going on is unless you bought a Series S or an X and you get 3 months free or whatever the case may be, and that's it. I think this has been going on for too long. I'm looking at it from a corporate standpoint. And if people haven't heard of or wanted to try it, all right, yeah, fine. 2 weeks is nice. But this promotion has been going on for a long time, and I think they've done everything they can to market Game Pass. I see Game Pass constantly on YouTube. At least once a day I'll see them. So I don't think that they need to do this anymore. I just think that it kind of cheapens Game Pass to a degree for it to be $1. I understand you're trying to get eyes on. I really do. But at the same time, it's like, people know about it now, and it's already cheap, and, just keep advertising for it. That's all. That's how I look at it. But, like I said, I'm trying to take the other side of it. And I don't really see them really needing to do that. And I am tired of hearing ponies say, I only paid $1 for it. Because you still don't have a way to keep people from doing it over and over and over again with different gamer tags. Because if this was on PlayStation, I had to, I didn't care about achievements or trophies, which I don't on PlayStation as much. I would do the same thing. I wouldn't care about it being, on my list of trophies. I would just care that I played the game and that was it.
Yeah, there's too much effort creating several accounts just to do that, though, man. It's worth my time's worth more than $1. So, but yeah,
right.
I sort of see what you're saying, but I think it's like, fast food chains like McDonald's, for example, they'll bring back dollar deals and they'll have these certain burgers come out, every couple of years that they sort of bring back, and this is kind of what they're doing with this because they kind of killed the dollar deal off. At the start of this year or late last year, and they're bringing it back for this. So they're just trying to get maximum impact, and then it'll go away again and might come back once a year or something, or if they could spread it out maybe longer and just have it when there's an epic games release. But I don't see anything wrong with it. It's just trying to capture the people that haven't jumped into the ecosystem, and as we all know, there's a lot that haven't. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I wouldn't pay too much attention to the Hoove brothers, as you put it, because they're just pathological liars anyway, man. So we all know that they're talking shit.
Fact. That's 100% fact right there.
I just
I think I need to get that trademarked, the Hoove brothers tagline. By the way,
Yeah, I've said that to Mac before. I said you better get that copyright before somebody else claims it.
Yeah, I gotta get it. So I gotta. Yeah, somebody told me one time, they were like, "Oh, you got that from this?" I'm like, "I made that up." Don't you
No,
dare.
I remember that. I remember the first time I ever heard that. Never heard it for anybody else.
I
love
it. Right, okay. So I think sort of more or less in sort of agreement there that we're sort of nobody really cares. And it
No,
it's
not
real
really.
news.
Yeah.
That's what. So let's bounce on to the next topic because we're going to slowly fire it up because we've got a lot of hot topics coming up. So Quake 2, as you all know, just shadow dropped onto Xbox Game Pass, and achievements are now live. Ashtray, you said you were gonna show some gameplay. Well, actually, I can't even see the
it's
screen,
shit
actually.
gameplay, but there's gameplay here.
It's because it's yours.
There's that, and I got home from my flight last night, and I thought I've got to capture something for the show, and I was fucking tired as hell. So that's half an excuse.
Ash, which Assassin's Creed is this?
That was Origins.
Okay, I haven't. I've been stuck on Unity. That was the last one I played years ago and never got past it. Yeah, man, I'm far behind.
Dude, you're missing out.
Yeah, man, definitely.
You're missing
I
out.
love the three. Yeah, I love the 3 new open world.
Yeah.
Yes, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm way behind, man. I got to catch up.
Out of the 3, and this is just my opinion, Valhalla's my favorite, then Odyssey, then Origins. But that's just me. A lot of people love Odyssey the most. But I haven't played.
I haven't played Valhalla yet. That's the only reason why I don't have it ranked yet. But mine is Odyssey and then Origins. Origins was really good though. As you play from the beginning to the end, to the newest, you really appreciate the game's growth.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And it just the story gets better, the storytelling gets better, and the until you get to Odyssey for me, and even the DLC was fantastic.
Oh yeah, there was 2 lots of DLC, and I completed all of them and got all the achievements.
Yeah,
I think I spent like, I don't know, around 70 hours in it, all up.
Yeah, I spent over 100. Yeah.
So
yeah. I didn't think that I was going to like Valhalla as much as I did. Because Origins was at that time the best Assassin's Creed, and then Odyssey became my favorite, and then
and Odyssey became my favorite too. Yep.
Right, and then Valhalla, and Valhalla. But see, that was when Valhalla was a little slow for me, and then it got started, and I beat all those DLCs, and I couldn't tell you how fascinated I was, and then to see, I don't know if you got to that part with Valhalla. Well, I think that you did say, Ashtray, that you beat all the DLCs on Valhalla.
Yes,
but to see Cassandra and Eivor fighting in that DLC was so sweet, and working together that tie-in, that was really dope. So I really do like. Yeah, so Valhalla, I would have to say, is my new favorite. Which so all the last 3 were really, really great.
Yeah, I misspoke too. I said 70 hours, 20 days. So that's completely different.
Wow.
Yeah. I spent
you
a lot
guys
of
can
time.
plan the new one when it drops in.
Absolutely, I'm looking forward to it. Mirage.
Well, I have to be invested. I'm more. See, I bought the first Assassin's Creed and I hated it so much. I let my friend just have it because it was so slow. And so I never played I didn't get back into Assassin's Creed until Syndicate. Then I went back to Unity, and then that's when I started playing the newer ones. So I'm kind of like in between. I haven't played all of them, but I've played, and everybody tells me I'm a fraud because I have not played Black Flag, and everybody says that that's the best one. So
dude?
yeah, I've
Hold
never
on.
played Black Flag. Yeah,
Hold on now.
Black
Gotta
Flag was
play
my
Black
favorite
Flag, man. Absolutely.
forever.
I gotta start
Damn
talking
it.
like a black mother. You shut your mouth. You telling me you telling me you telling me you didn't play Black Flag?
No, I hated the first one so bad that I stayed away from Assassin's Creed
Damn.
until Syndicate. And then I was like, oh, Syndicate, okay, this is cool. And then I was like, and then I played Origins right after that. And I'm like, okay, I'm finna start going back. But then the furthest I went back was to Unity. And I really enjoyed Unity. But I beat Unity like about 3 years ago, so it wasn't like recent. It wasn't like way back when the game came out.
Long
when it was
ago,
broken.
yeah.
Yeah. So I've caught up and played the last 3, but no, I haven't gone back and played any of those older ones from.
Yeah. Okay, Mega. The problem is
Black
though,
Flag.
going back to Black Flag now will probably feel really dated. I really, that's the only thing, right? But give it a shot anyway. It was definitely one of my favorites until the newer versions came along.
I haven't played the new ones
as an open world. That would be awesome.
I truly hope that's the case, Ash. Listen, as if now Black Flag is my favorite in the franchise. I haven't played the new ones to judge it. Man, I love it.
Nobody talks bad about Black Flag. Everybody I've talked to talked really highly of Black Flag, so that's why I do have to run it. I do have to give it some run. I just haven't though. So.
I do hope they do like a remake or something of it or something like that, a remaster maybe.
An open world version.
Yeah, I mean it was already kind of open. It was pretty open world.
Yeah,
it was just island based.
Yeah, true, but sort of more that realistic open world like Odyssey was, where you could travel without any loading screens and stuff.
Humongous.
Yeah.
Odyssey was bigger than any game I've ever played in my life. That game was huge.
Man. Yeah. Also, too, they had the naval combat. You know that a lot of people didn't care for that exactly, K Mega, but I loved it. I grew to love it. At first, I was like, but I loved it. It was really fun. And then, of course, you could dive in there and go like, dive for treasure and whale hunt and all this type of. It was just dope, man.
Oh yeah, no, I loved it in Odyssey. So yeah, I mean. Yeah, so I'm sure that's where they got it from, was from Black Flag.
Pretty much.
So, like I said,
it was. Black Flag was it, yeah. That's where the whole Skull and Bones idea, if you ask me, came from. But they're like
exactly where it came from.
Too late. You're like years too late. Like nobody wants to play it now because you have it in both the games. You even have it in Origins. You have it it's not a lot, but it's in Origins. But you ran it in a hole. Unfortunately, you've given us other options. So to play it just like that, I don't think so.
Is Skull and Bones still a thing? Still a game? What happened to that?
Apparently.
Yeah, as long as the Singapore government's still paying for it, it will be.
Yeah, okay.
No one ever talks about that.
This is a pretty good topic on Quake 2.
Yeah. Let's get back on topic, guys. Right. So it's not much to talk about, really. It's just Quake 2. It's a remaster that's just shadow dropped onto Game Pass, and I believe it's doing quite well. It's been very successful. Obviously, Ashtrey's played it, and you guys, I might download it. No, I did. I tried to download. Play something the other day, and when you play these games now, you think, oh yeah, nostalgia, I'm going to jump into that, and you sort of play it for 10 minutes, you think, oh god, this is awful, and then you just delete it. Anyone else is going to give it a go, or just it's just too dated? Isn't it?
Eventually, probably. I don't know. I feel like I got too much to play to do that.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I mean, if it was like last year, it'd be something like, why not play this, right? But man, we got tons of games to get through, and we got Starfield right on the horizon. It's like I can't even divulge the time. And I'm playing Atlas Fallen, so it's just tough, but I'm glad they brought it over, though. I'll say that. I mean, it's
Oh yeah.
it's a sign of things to come. You know what I mean? As far as I think they're going to definitely reboot the franchise and give us something soon on that. I mean, obviously they had the Quake come, but there was nothing new being announced there. So I would say in the next year or so, you probably hear something about a reboot or something like that. I would imagine. And they should. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Now, Quake has never been my type of franchise, really, because I don't care for like the way they move on there. I can't keep up with it. I don't know. It's not my style. But you know, I know it's a fan franchise. Fan favorite franchise. So I get why it needs to be a thing. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm happy to see it. It's in Game Pass and stuff like that, though. So you know, for those who are not playing what I play, try it out.
It's dated though. So if no one got anything to really talk about on Quake, I'll move on to the next topic. All happy?
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
Then let's move on. So, right. So recently, all right, recently on Twitter, Takashi Mujitsuki posted.
I thought you were about to say Tekashi 6ix9ine. I thought you were about.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that thought he was about to say that?
Well, yeah, I thought he was too. I was like, what? Okay.
I was like, wait, what's it got to do with games?
Takashi mushrooms. Anyway,
Yeah. So he shared the price is about the Sony's
share price
the share price is fallen by 6%
over.
after its earnings that made analysts over 6%. Yeah, analysts concerned over short-term outlook on PlayStation. So Sony said smartphone market's recovery will be delayed, and sales of the PS5 in Q1 were weaker than it's planned. So just more. We've got a whole string of bad news for PlayStation and its gamers at the moment. But is this the start of things? Is PlayStation slowly knocking off now? It's dropping. Its shares are dropping. It's selling less consoles. Is this the ABK deal effect? Do you think? K-Meg, I'm gonna start with you.
No, I don't think it's the ABK effect. I just think it's the reality that that some people just don't want to accept is that the console market is not the same as it was last gen and the gens before. The console market is just it's in a place where I feel that the PlayStation 5 will never catch the PlayStation 2. Just like the PlayStation 4, it has the potential, but I don't think that they'll ever catch the PlayStation 2. And I think that's the realistic thing. The PlayStation 5 is a casual console. That's not an insult. What it is just that it's a popular console. PlayStation is synonymous all over the world, right? So it's just the it thing. And I think that it just at this point in time, like the gaming content that they have for this present year, the only thing that people can really sink their teeth into is Spider-Man. I mean, VR is just not doing very well. I mean, it's just a really crazy situation that's going on with PlayStation. And then, of course, the things that people would get hyped for to see what's coming out from Sony, they've been real reluctant on trying to have what they're bringing in showcases, showing up at Gamescom. They started way back in 2018 when they were leaving E3, and then now they don't even have like big, huge showcases like they used to have back in 2016, 2017. It's just another direction of, I think, where gaming is going. And for people that are big fans of consoles, I think this is just, well, other than Nintendo, because Nintendo is just doing their own thing. But with Xbox and with PlayStation, the dynamic is just different. And I think Sony is now starting to feel that effect. And I don't think that it's going to be something that where they're going to, I mean, they'll sell 100 million plus. But like I said, I don't think that they might not even sell the same amount of what the PlayStation 4 sold, especially asking for the price ranges now and things like that. People are holding on to their money. You're asking for $70 a game now, and then you asking for $50 more on a $500 console. Peripherals is $500 plus. You can throw out the premium number. I mean, the premium name but people are looking at their pockets and saying, and then especially when some of these games come out and they want to give these games a chance, and let's just say like a Forspoken or for a Redfall or anything, even though that's not a PlayStation game, when you ask for that type of price and then those games don't live up to the expectation, people are going to feel burned, and then people are just going to wait for sales and things like that. I mean, you can just look at what happened with Final Fantasy 16. It used to never be something last gen where a PlayStation stan or gamer would brag that 3 million copies sold is a win. I mean, because they were just saying just last gen that with Quantum Break, when that sold around 2.5, close to 3 million, that was looked at as a fail. So you see how the dynamic is changing. So I just think it's just gaming overall just changing, in my opinion.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
go on.
I was just going to say, because you were muted, I was just going to jump in and say, you basically covered everything off there, K-Mega. It's people are nervous, right? There's no real long-term goal here. They're not announcing any long-term strategies. There's nothing in the pipeline that they're announcing. There's Spider-Man 2 at the end of the year that still could get delayed. They've apparently delayed games out to next year, which they haven't even announced, so we don't really know anything about that. Wolverine hasn't been spoken about since 2019 or something, so we don't even know how far that is, and most likely when that gets an announcement date, it'll get delayed anyway. So this is typically sort of what happens. It's not a Game Pass or a ABK effect or anything like that. It's just the fact that they've got no future content and their shareholders are nervous. I mean, considering that their last couple of state of plays, 2 or 3 state of plays have been kind of empty. And that's probably already had people a little nervous. Shareholders see things different to fanboys, by the way. So they're more like, what's actually happening? Where's the pipeline? Whereas the fanboys only just see, games. No, that sounds similar, but it's still a completely different thing. So people are nervous. This is why it's dropped. Look, it'll go back up again. This is share market. It's the way it always works. And all it takes is an announcement like Spider-Man 2 when it comes. I know it's been announced, but when it comes closer, everyone gets excited. Share prices will go up again. So it is what it is. But this is sort of a bit of a sign of people losing a bit of confidence in Sony, not just for their PlayStation market. Obviously, there's issues or delays or slowdown with their mobile market as well, with their sensors and stuff. So I do believe they've got a sensor deal with Apple, I think, coming up next year. But then, what's happening now? Where's the cash flow now, kind of thing as well. So there's a few things there. So it's not entirely Jim's fault, but I think he's still got a lot to answer for in regards to the PlayStation side of things, and it'll be interesting to see how long he sticks around for, in my opinion. Elite.
It'd be funny if he gets sacked with 4 Phil, doesn't it? After all the calling for Phil's head.
Yeah.
I agree with K-Mega as well on the. I don't reckon it will outsell the PlayStation 4. I reckon it will peak about 100 million. I reckon. I don't think it's going to be nowhere near as successful, and especially with talks of a mid-gen refresh or possibly a shorter generation this year for a PlayStation. I think I reckon it'll be about 100 million. I just I don't think people are as invested. I think more people appear to be going over to PC gaming as well. I've noticed a trend. A lot of people just sort of jumping ship onto PC gaming. So, Bushido, what do you think?
I think that, mostly what you guys said, I agree with. I think that the other thing too is mainly not having any games to show for the next few years. I think that the type of games that they usually make, I think people aren't. They're looking for that again. They're looking for them to make those types of games that kind of innovate and push the genre. But I think that one of the problems is that, like you said, there's one of the state that not showing really anything at the state of plays and or any other showcases. Being very disappointed in that. Me as a PlayStation owner was very disappointed, and I think that also too the shift in dynamics and the way that Xbox is doing things as according to the way PlayStation does things, is kind of um, hurting themselves. They're not really trying anything different, except now they've decided that they want to go into the games as a service, and they're not really putting out any games as a service that people want to play. I think that Helldivers was the only one, and Marathon is going to be multi-plat. I'm not too sure of what their whole real plans are, going forward. It's just the first time I've ever felt uncertain about what PlayStation is going to do, as far as games are concerned and the future is concerned. I'm used to them pulling a rabbit out of the hat and surprising you with some game that you haven't heard a rumor about at all that they're working on, and you're not getting that from them. So I think that kind of hurts, and I think that when it comes to shareholders, um, people look at things like that. As far as that's concerned, is where's the value going to be? Not as a consumer, but for me to invest in it. How promising does this look? And you don't really have anything this time around that's promising. Even as a Xbox guy, I still look forward to the occasional PlayStation exclusive. I'm even a little upset that I don't feel like I'm going to get anything for the next few years, PlayStation wise, except for third-party games. And I don't mind third-party games, but I do like their style of games. I think it's kind of hurting them that you're not getting any of those types of things. So
Yeah, we've got a bunch of topics actually coming up, which will sort of explain, I think, the shareholders why they're not so happy with PlayStation at the moment. We've got, there seems to be a lot of things just not going right on Sony's end at the moment.
yeah.
Infinite, do you want to add to this?
Yeah, I guess quickly. I think everything has been touched on. I think it's much ado about nothing overall, really, and it's about the bigger picture, because this is Sony as a business. It's not talking really about their game division, really. So this is because of their movie division and their I think
They
the
do mention
insurance.
PlayStation.
Yeah, but PlayStation didn't really drop much. They just didn't hit the expectations they wanted to with the console sales necessarily. But they still made like what, 9 billion more profit than Xbox in that term. You know what I mean? So it's relative, and it's just not that big a deal, honestly. It seems like it was something, but it's really not. And I think Sony in general has declined a lot in the movie sector, because the only thing they really had, I think, was like Across the Spider-Verse, right? That was really it, and that did pretty well for them, but it didn't do like the first one did. But that's really it. That's what really hurt them. It was really that, and so that hurt their.
Craven was horrible to add on top of that.
Craven, yeah. Craven looks like trash. Did that already release?
They've delayed it. They've delayed it.
Oh,
next year,
okay.
haven't they?
Yeah.
I was going
They
to
need to
say,
reshoot the whole thing. That's what they need to do.
Yeah. Or cancel it like they have Wonder Woman. Just
Yeah.
cancel it.
yeah. I was about to
It's
say,
awful.
yeah. So like the things that really affected them were the movie division and I think life insurance, like if I'm not mistaken. So that's that really didn't affect them more than anything. Like their PlayStation division is still going strong, so they might not have hit the expectations they had. But look at Square. Square always talks about expectations, and they set them pretty high. So Sony just did the same thing, and it just came up a bit short. And it's probably due to a bunch of factors, maybe even stocking. All right, so who knows? But I think though, yeah, it could be a bunch of factors for that. But overall, I think they're doing all right. So it's not really a big deal in this case right here, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to carry on with this. We're going to bounce straight on to the next topic, which sort of intertwines with all this that's going on at the moment with PlayStation. But I just want a quick shout out to the chat. So who we've got in chat? We've got quite a few people in here today. We've got Pyro, Grey Monad, welcome guys. Fuck you. Infinite numbers there. Distinctive One, hello, welcome mate. Spidey Ring. Marketing Team Click, who's also got the name Batman is not a superhero. General Spartan,
Wow.
welcome. I know.
Wow.
At
Disrespect.
him. Sappho, Grey Monad, Other Zinc's here. Hello, Other Zinc. Who else have we got? Oh, we got Bob has finally joined us. And who else we got? I think I'm losing people. We've got so many people. MacBound, welcome, mate. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. We've got quite a big stacked chat at the moment. Right, so going on to the next topic then. I had it open and I lost it. Nuts. Sony to stop disclosing PlayStation Plus subscriber numbers, focusing instead on improving the service. The one way they can improve it, we know what that is, and they're not going to do it, are they? PlayStation Plus has been dominating the game subscription service market for quite some time. No, it's not. I don't know why that statement's there.
I'm gonna say heaven.
Yeah, that's what it says. PlayStation Plus is dominating the game subscription services. Where?
Okay.
They're about fourth, I'd
Like-
say. If
like-
anything, they're
I
not
like to-
dominating anything.
I like to see that data. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we won't see that data no more. So.
Oh no!
No, it
oh
won't.
no!
That's it.
Oh no!
So what this is on the back of, they said they went after disclosing the numbers in September 2022, and that had dropped by 4% of subscribers from 47 million down to 45 million. The numbers went up slightly in March this year, but not the growth they was looking for. And as a result, due to last quarters, they're not going to show numbers anymore. They're going to just keep them to themselves. So obviously, it's not doing the numbers or whatever it is they wanted. And obviously, shareholders will have access to this. It sort of goes back to the last topic.
So Elite, what did everyone say when Xbox stopped disclosing console sale numbers? What happened
It means
then?
it's fouled, doesn't it? It's trash. It's fouled, and they're coming out of the console business.
Moving to being a third-party publisher. That's what they said.
Yeah. We would also notice they don't really disclose the game sales anymore. Every time a game sale had sold, didn't they? In the
I
last
talked
gen,
about that.
they would
talked
hype
about
up the
that.
numbers, wouldn't they?
They
just
would
don't talk
pop
about
up
it anymore.
numbers up way
Yeah.
more than you'd even ask for. And now
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you don't get numbers anymore. You have to get a third
Nope.
party to announce the numbers. I said the same thing about Horizon and
Yeah.
God of War. I remember when God of War must not have been selling so well that they started bundling. And don't get me wrong, they've always bundled God of War. But it just seems so odd that they did Horizon and every other game that came out. And then Horizon was on their service. Like
Yeah.
not even a year later. And you know they love their precious exclusives and they wouldn't do anything like that unless things were odd. And I think that's one of the things that I look at with them is like, you guys don't seem the same this time around, this generation.
No. They've been a bit, so there's games like Horizon, GT, loads of games. I think the last one
GT,
they reported
yeah.
on was The Last of Us 2, wasn't it? They hyped up those numbers, and then since then, I think it's pretty much this generation. They've just gone quiet. They've not mentioned sales numbers, and not really. I think they don't really mention the console sales, do they? Well, they've not mentioned VR sales, but they don't mention the console sales. That's
Definitely
fair.
not going to talk about that. Definitely not going to talk about that.
VR2
Yeah, we're gonna
came
come
out
to
and disappeared in the same month.
No. It's just
No sirree, that ain't going to get talked about.
Definitely not.
That might be the next thing that they won't disclose.
yeah.
PSV, yeah. I think they're just gonna just ignore it and let it go away. But we've got that as a topic anyway, so we come to that. So Sony disclosing numbers, guys. It's gonna happen, wasn't it? And we know there's only one way they can improve the system. That's by the setup. That's by putting day one, isn't it? Do you think PC day
Yep.
one? Or putting their games on their day one at least, at the minimum.
They seem to be
Day one.
they
At least-
seem to be very
think
much
at least-
against that, man.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
I think at least
exactly.
PC day one. At least PC day one. At the very least.
Could you imagine the console fanboys? They would be up in arms if
Oh,
PC get it
Glorious,
first.
wouldn't it?
I mean, for us it'd be
It
funny,
would be.
but they would lose
It
their
really would be.
shit.
Yeah.
But then
So you
again,
get those numbers
Sony,
up.
PlayStation has pissed their fan base off before and not given a fuck. So anything's possible. Anything's possible. But
Anything possible.
they're still announcing console sale numbers, though, right?
Is that
Right.
them?
So
Are they?
Third party.
they're
Are
still
they
priding
doing it, are they?
themselves on console sales.
Oh, yeah. It's just weird that I just find it weird why they're so. Everything else is sort of seems to just falling behind, but they're still sort of but we're still selling consoles, but no one's buying the games on these consoles. You're just so proud that you're selling consoles. That's the only. That seems to be the only win for them, isn't it? As long as they're selling consoles, I don't care if all the games fall apart or everything falls apart. As long as they're selling those consoles, they still claim it as a win. It's just weird. I think it's really strange.
I still say that people keep acting as if they don't have, even though they have 40 million people bought the PS5, you still have a bunch of people who still have the PS4. And it's not like they're sitting there and not playing, not wanting to play any games. So they obviously want to play games. And a lot of times, and I've said this before in parties, PlayStation players are cheap players because they only bought the PS4 because it was the cheapest console. Now, I'm not saying that's wrong, but at that time, it was okay then. It was okay because it was the cheapest console. But now that it is the thing, now all of a sudden now we're welfare gamers and everything else inside the book. But that's not the reason why you bought the PS4, though. It's just funny to me. But yeah, they're still on the PS4, so they're not just sitting there doing nothing. They just can't be. So you can't tell me they're not buying games. And if they're not, why aren't they then?
Yeah. Has anyone got any more to say? Does anyone want to jump in?
Yeah, just real quick. I don't know if it's in this article, but recently there was concurrent players per month that sign in, and it was 111 million. I think it was 111. And I believe Xbox's monthly active users, that's what it is higher than that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. From memory, it's Xbox's monthly active users is higher than PlayStation's. So that's interesting within itself.
Yeah, very. And also, too, looking at the sales numbers for Xbox recently, especially after now, you want to talk about the ABK effect. After the ABK effect, the sales went up, 400%?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. It's looking like a shift in my book, but, I'm not going to claim victory yet until the champagne's pop and the game, the whistle's blown. So
I don't think Xbox will ever outsell PlayStation. I think PlayStation's got too much.
No, I don't think so either. But listen, you just want to be in a race.
It's too dominant in places like Japan and stuff like that. So which Xbox will never sell in Japan or win anything. In
Unless
Japan,
they get Capcom. No.
Yeah.
So just real quick,
Yeah.
according to the internet, it says PlayStation has 108 million active users as of June 30, and the latest information on Xbox was 2022, December 2022, approximately 120 million active users.
Yeah, suck it.
Wow.
So
But yeah, no,
There you
this is the thing that I've always said is that Xbox doesn't have to outsell PlayStation in the console space to still win the market share. That's where Game Pass comes in, and that's why they hate Game Pass. That's why they were hating the whole cloud thing there for a minute before people started realizing that cloud is still a ways away. But games as a service, these subscription services, they are the future of where the gaming market is at. And then also mobile is really the biggest gaming draw. So that part with the ABK is very important because that will definitely change dramatically for Microsoft, in Microsoft's favor or Xbox's favor, because you'll have Call of Duty and all the rest of those and those King games being on going into the Xbox infrastructure, ecosystem and into their portfolio. It's going to be huge for them. So there's definitely going to be a shift. We just don't know how big it's going to be yet.
And K-Mega, I reckon people sort of, it's probably not going to be huge, but I think people sort of forget a backwards compatibility that Xbox has is a bit of a draw card too, because the people that might still be on their Xbox Ones or even 360s can be comforted knowing that if they get a new console, the majority of their games are still going to work. So I think that's
the beautiful thing.
Yeah, and it's usually
that's the beautiful thing
well,
about Xbox.
Right?
Mm-hmm. That's the beautiful thing about Xbox that PlayStation gamers cannot claim for the PlayStation. And to me, that's what hinders me from ever really seriously taking PlayStation serious in that regard, because I only use them for the first party. Like, what else is there to use them for when you're not guaranteed your cloud saves if you're not subscribed and everything else? Like, it's just a terrible experience compared to how Xbox handles things personally.
Yeah, and they've had the chance to make those changes. I mean, would it really cost Sony that much money to have cloud saves just free?
It wouldn't, and they get over it on it because their gamers don't call them out for it. You know, that's the thing. They're too busy calling us out about, yeah. And it's the same thing with the $70 price hike. It would not have gone to that had Sony gamers complained about PlayStation doing it and not allowed them to get away with that. But you know, some people, well, they weren't the first to do it, but they were the most prominent and dominant. If PlayStation didn't raise to 70, nobody else would have. It's just that simple. But hey, it is what it is. But my thing is on this whole situation here, as far as the them not, we are still on about the the disclosure of their subscribers, right?
Oh well, that's sort of was a bit of a segue, yeah, because we were talking about the numbers that they're not announcing anymore for PS Plus, yeah.
So they're not announcing it. It's funny. I just look at it as funny, simply because of our Who brothers and how they, for years, as we all know, just used it against us as a bludgeon. Like, oh, you're gonna be a third party, you know, publisher and all that. So I saw a few reactions to this, and I saw a lot of our Xbox brothers, you know, getting at them over it. So it's just funny to me. That's all it is. But I think it's just a sign of things to come. It's a change in the culture, and I wonder. I guess because Sony seems to do so well, typically in what they sell, they don't necessarily have to do so when it comes to consoles. But if Microsoft starts to take over, I imagine Sony might stop disclosing that too. So we'll see. It'll be a long time before that happens, but it would be funny to see that. Just because I'm definitely going to try to see if I can find some receipts to use it against people. But but other than that, it is what it is. I don't quite get why they want to do that, but I don't know. But yeah, it is what it is at the end of the day. I just I don't know. I'm trying to piece that together why they would do it, but I can't quite come to a real consensus in my head. But other than maybe, I don't know, maybe they're like looking at Microsoft's numbers and like, we don't want to look weak in that department. I don't know. I just don't get it, honestly.
That's most likely what it is, and they'll probably shift their you know, how they speak about numbers. They'll shift it just like Xbox did back in the day to something that sounds more positive, and something that you can probably show growth in. And I think that's why they're sticking with sales, because they're still outselling Xbox, so they're going to stick on that as long as they can, and then change the metric to suit them. And look, that's just business. They've got to look positive to their shareholders and to the general public. So it makes a lot of sense, but it just it tells you the other side of the story, that they're not happy with the numbers, and that's important. That's the important takeaway from it, that I think anyway.
And talking of numbers, moving on to the next
well
topic.
done.
Sony says the reaction to its price drop has been weak, and this is based in the UK. So looking at, they've done a sales drop. They've done a sales drop recently for the PS5, and it's been fairly not too bad everywhere. They said that Japan has been strong, and it's held true for Asia. In North America's not too bad, Europe, but UK is just not picking up. Actually, the sales are dropping in the UK. So I wonder what the effect there is. I wonder why people from the UK are just backing off and dropping off from PlayStation.
Well, Elite, have you got a rig yet? Have you got a big PC yet?
No.
No, right. And
Surface Pro.
Why is that? Because you don't want to spend the money on it.
Yeah.
So there you go. There's your answer.
Yeah.
No one's got the money to spend on it, and Xbox is cheaper in terms of a console and getting in on the market with Game Pass and stuff. So it's a bit more enticing.
Quite good over here, so we don't ideally need another heater in the house at the moment. So or we don't want our houses to burn down. That's what we don't want.
Wow,
that's more.
So messy.
Come on, K-Meg, you love it.
We know it's happening.
I love the mess. I do. You know, I just like saying it just to sound like, oh my gosh, you guys are so out of pocket. But then in glee every time y'all say something. But no, I mean, I think it's price. It's pricing, even though I know that they did the price drop. But I mean, I think it's pricing, and also it is, you know, out there in Europe, they cater more to PC gaming. So, you know, if you don't have a rig already, and then the PlayStation 5 would be the viable option. But that price, I mean, people are real reluctant on wanting to spend that money these days. And especially when you look at it in, if you already have a PlayStation 4, and you can still play a game over there, or you're on mobile. There's just a lot. And then of course the Switch is out there doing really well too. So there's a lot of things out there that a lot of people can have more options that are cheaper. So maybe that could be one of the things. That's my thoughts.
That and content. There's not a lot of the content out there either, right? So we know a few of the games that they when the console launched 2 years ago. A lot of them were back compat, so you could play them or have a PS4 version, and then they stopped that after Horizon Forbidden West. So people are probably sticking to their PS4s, like you said, K-Mega, and they're like, well, why upgrade at this point? Because there's really no content to do it with. Third party, I can play it on a PC or I can play it, and a lot of third party still releases on the PS4 too. So there's not a lot of enticement there to upgrade. And so even though there's a price drop, times are tough as well. So there's no, and I'm sure Xbox is probably not selling a heap either at this point in time. But the fact that PlayStation dropped their price and it's still lackluster, we're only talking about one region, but it's a region that's predominantly
it's a region
PlayStation.
it's a region PlayStation fans always quote. Isn't it the UK?
Yeah.
Remember, they always quote sales and things. They're always UK.
Yeah.
They always use UK stats and stuff. So it's quite ironic now they've come back that they're not doing as well in the UK. So they don't seem to be quoting them anymore.
I wonder too, though, if it's a matter of like maybe they sold through most of the people they would sell through for now. Like maybe most people are satisfied and like, they don't have anything really on the horizon until Spider-Man. It's no need for me to rush, to get a PS5. It could be a bunch of factors, I suppose. But yeah.
Well, Umbra, what about the fact that some people are saying that this might be trying to clear stock to you ready for the launch of the PS5 Slim? So if they're not selling out this stock, then who's going to buy a PS5 Slim?
Yeah, it could be right. It could be that. I think also too we heard the news of the PS5 Pro. So I'm wondering if people probably heard that both news items and are thinking I'll wait for the Slim or I'll wait for the Pro before I move up, because they still have tons of gamers on the PS4. So maybe the case is they're waiting for that mid-gen refresh too. It could be a few things, I suppose.
It could be, yeah.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, like, I guess they're still solid in the UK. And maybe I will say too, just to throw it out there, maybe the news of the whole CMA situation with Microsoft and our Hoove brothers seeing that Microsoft won essentially and are going to have Call of Duty coming straight to Xbox delayed some people's movement, because a lot of our gamers, as we know, typically just play third-party games, and it is just a Call of Duty machine or a FIFA machine for those in the UK, right, or something like that. So maybe they're like, do we need to get a PlayStation if it's going to Game Pass? It'll save me, X amount of money a year if it's coming straight to Game Pass. So I wonder if that factors into it. I'm just speculating on that part, but I wonder.
Yeah. So before I bounce on to the next topic, I was just going to say one of the best things shown at from Sony, first party from Sony at their game show this year is releasing this month, isn't it? So I think people are probably hyped for that. That'd be GT7 the movie. That was the show that's releasing. So it's releasing before their games do. That's sad, isn't it? So
I think it's had a lukewarm response though as well. That movie. I'm pretty sure I saw somewhere that it wasn't.
At least from critics.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. Sony can't make movies. They suck at making movies.
They really do, unfortunately.
The Spider-Man movies were only done well because Marvel sort of helped him along with it. They sort of co-opt on it. Anything Sony does on their own just sucks.
The thing is that
Morbius and the Venom's not great. And
outside of gamers, who really knows Gran Turismo and who asked for a racing game movie? No one, right?
No one.
Like, why would you think as a company that this would be a great idea? Honestly,
I don't know.
You'd make heaps of money if you did a God of War. You'd probably still make some money if you did a Horizon game.
They're doing the God of War TV show, right? I think with Amazon. But like the racing thing, it's like the last racing movie I can recall that I actually watched was Days of Thunder with Tom Cruise.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Damn.
Wow.
Seriously, I didn't even
Yeah.
watch the Ford versus whatever it was with what's his name? What's the guy that played Thor?
Was it?
Hemsworth.
Oh, okay.
Hemsworth.
Sounds right,
Wasn't
yeah.
there?
Yeah, I
one
didn't
with
even- I didn't even watch
DiCaprio?
that.
Wasn't there a racing car one with DiCaprio or someone? No.
They did. They did have.
There was
Need
one
for
with
Speed.
Bale, Christian Bale,
Yeah,
wasn't there?
so
They had a Need for Speed.
yeah, they had a Need for
Oh, yeah,
Speed
the Need for
with
Speed
with the one guy that played in Breaking Bad. He was his assistant. I forgot what it is.
Oh
name.
yeah, that's
Oh.
right.
Yeah,
I forgot all
That's
about it. I
right.
never watched it. Never watched
Yeah,
it.
Wait a minute.
Me neither, but I just
Wait a minute.
remembered it because he was just bringing it up. So
Yeah.
We just completely overlooking thingy here. Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah, you know what? Those are not really racing movies anymore, though.
Nah,
Like,
are they? They're
yeah.
not. They're so far from it.
yeah. Those full-on action espionage type movies now.
Yeah,
yeah,
they've
I
gone
would
from
see that there
race
would be
car
reason
drivers.
for a Ghost of Tsushima movie or something like that. Like, why would you go with that? Is just I don't know. Like, yeah, I'm trying to wonder who greenlit that. Like, who like that pitch man needs to be at Xbox marketing because that person is sold a a bill of goods because I don't know how somebody could tell you, hey, we want to make a Gran Turismo movie. But it's going to cost around $20 million to make. You got that? Sure, excellent idea. Like I have no idea, and really, I think that movie might cost more, but it just baffles my mind. There's just so much more content, that they could be using.
Sony would have been better off bringing back Herbie. Remember Herbie, the love bug?
Oh wow, yeah, I love the love bug.
They did make
man.
that, did they?
No, but I'm just saying they'd be better off bringing
Yeah,
that back.
yeah,
It'd probably
that
get
was
more
good
reception.
movies. Good old days. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, I'd like to see a Cannonball Run. That's what I'd be better doing. You just love those films.
Oh, I would love to see a Cannonball Run. I don't know if it would work these days the way that
No.
no.
Love
love
those.
Cannonball
It's why they
Run.
got all the actors together, didn't they? There would be it's all the famous actors in them days, wasn't it? And they'd put them all into a film.
Wasn't Jackie Chan in that?
Yeah, Jackie Chan was in it, wasn't he?
Jackie
He teamed up
Chan.
with Jaws, didn't
Burt
he?
Reynolds
From
and
James Bond
all
movies.
those.
Yeah,
Jackie
yeah.
Chan.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that's great.
Sammy
I thought always
Davis
said they should
Jr.
do that
and
as
all
a
that,
the rat pack in the car, weren't they? It was him and Dean Martin were in the car. They was in the Fry, weren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Tom
fantastic movies they
DeLuise.
were.
Just there was so many like cameo actors and actresses in there. So yeah, I loved Cannonball Run.
And I always loved the outtakes afterwards. Hilarious.
Mhm.
Whoa, that movie cost $100 million to make.
Did
I'm glad you looked that up because I was just thinking about looking it up. God damn.
Yeah,
you're a
that once you
finesse.
said it, that stuck in my head and it was bothering me. And to see it over, I'm not gonna lie, 20 million, I thought was like, yeah, that's about right. Yeah, 100. Wow, man.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Hold on,
of time.
for the GT, it cost.
Yeah.
Wow,
Oh,
what a
Yeah.
waste.
yeah.
They're going to have to sell a few more consoles to get that money back.
Could have made a game with that. They could have made a first party game with that. Now they got nothing.
You know, I was just
Nothing.
talking to Magbound about this and a couple other guys in the Xbox party that PlayStation has allowed, Sony, excuse me, has allowed other electronics companies to catch up to them, and not just catch up to them, but catch up to them and pass them not only in sales or a price, because for the longest they overpriced their TVs.
Yes.
And the TVs were really, really good, but there were other TVs that came along like LG and
Samsung.
and listen, you let Hisense and you let TLC not only catch up to you, but now they're on par with you and they have a cheaper price. And now TLC is starting to make OLEDs. You just allowed these guys just to come up right behind you. And I remember when Hisense used to be so bad that it was a Kmart brand. They just had an awful, awful brand, and they put money back into it, and now they're up there with Sony, with as far as quality is concerned, that their TVs are cheaper, and at the same time they're outselling them now. But you allowed yourself to outprice yourself because you thought too much of yourself.
Yeah, and they closed off a lot too, because you couldn't. I remember having trouble back in the early 2000s where I would want to plug in a USB to play videos and stuff, and it wouldn't accept the files, and they basically locked their ecosystem down, kind of like what Apple's done with theirs. And,
Apple, yeah,
and that
exactly.
shit me back then because we had all this freedom with Nokia and stuff. So I gravitated over to LG at the time where you could plug a USB in and you could play MKVs, AVIs, anything. And I was like, well, this is my brand now going forward. And I've had LG TVs since. So they kind of, they got that. But that's typical Sony arrogance. They've always been like that, regardless of the structure of their business, whether it's white goods, TVs, video games. They've always been an arrogant company. And it's really been to their detriment. So welcome everybody to the PlayStation podcast. Everything's PlayStation today at the moment. But anyway, we'll move on to the next topic, which is Sony internally delayed multiple first-party games. We're still scratching our heads on to know which ones these are. It could be it could be Factions, for example. But these games have been unannounced and they've been delayed internally. So it'd be interesting to know really what they were. Elite.
Yeah. Yeah, they do mention in the chat, in the text, they do mention the Factions. And they also mentioned Fire Sprite was rumoured to be making Twisted Metal game, which was meant to have released alongside the TV series, which never happened, obviously. So I'm not sure how that TV series is doing either. But they don't go on to mention because they've just got wind of this, haven't they, through something or other from a third party, and so they don't actually mention the games that are delayed. But they just know there was first party and there was many of them. So I wonder if games like Wolverine's listed on that. Most likely Spider-Man might be delayed, but I wonder if something like Wolverine it's been delayed to 2025. It says 20 games in 2023 and 2024 delayed, isn't it? So I wonder if Wolverine's delayed. Because they are lackluster, aren't they, at the moment, Sony? And it wouldn't surprise me if they have got games delayed and they're just not mentioning it. And this is why they're not rocking up to Gamescom or game shows or anything like that. They're just ducking, diving out of them all because they've got nothing to show.
Elite, what's interesting is they used to announce games 3-4 years out. And that was common practice.
Sony on having a roadmap.
Right.
And then they've got none. No roadmap at all.
Exactly. So I'm trying to think back to 2, 3, 4 years ago, any announcements, and I can't think of any except for Wolverine that could be part of this. I mean, for all we know, this could be some VR titles.
Yeah.
What else have they got? Anyone in the chat, if you remember anything that they've announced within the last sort of 4 years that we haven't seen yet?
First party.
Obviously, first party. Obviously, besides, again, Wolverine and Factions, there's got to be more than that out there, and I just don't think there is.
They must be working on something. Yeah, they must be working on.
I made that same argument too, though. I made that exact same argument before, and I got so much pushback on Twitter. But yeah, it is true. I haven't really found any games that they had announced in a while. I mean, they haven't announced. And listen, you talk about let's just talk about new IP. And they used to be good for always coming out with some kind of new IP on a regular basis. But it seems like now they've got caught in the loop of Halo, Gears, Forza. I mean, Gran Turismo, Uncharted, and God of War now. Yeah, and Spider-Man, yeah. And so it seems like Spider-Man keeps pulling them out the fire, but even Spider-Man doesn't sell as much as I thought it would. But don't get me wrong, because I'm getting Spider-Man, but it's just surprising that we haven't really seen anything new, and I'm used to it, and I've gotten spoiled to it, and I'm not really getting that anymore now, or we're not getting that anymore now.
Yeah, K-Mega. I mean, is there anything that you can think of that they've announced or mentioned in the last 3-4 years that could be a possibility?
Well, I remember her yams, her thickness, Stellar Blade. That was supposed to be slated to come out.
Stellar yams. Southern
Can I
Yams.
get
Yes.
to
Southern
Yams?
Yes, Kenny. Boy, I was looking forward to it, but I mean, yeah, well, all right. So just gotta wait a little bit longer for that thickness. But but yeah, that could be one. A soul side, a soul aside. I think that's how you say it. There's a game that I was been looking at that it was supposed to come out. It was supposed to come out last year, and then it was delayed to this year. Now it got delayed till 2024. That might have another delay. I don't know, but it's slated for next year. Of course, the Factions 2, and I mean, they talked about Wolverine, but maybe Wolverine is in a position to where they're not ready yet, so that could be delayed a little bit later. And I don't know, maybe one of those other service games like a Twisted Metal that they're talking about working on, or Marathon, something else. I mean, obviously for them to not, you normally don't really show dates, but they have showed dates and then they've delayed, and people don't really trip out about that for the most part. But it was really odd when they had their last showcase and then they were just kind of showing games and didn't announce anything. Like they didn't just say 2024 or whatever. They just kind of showed it. So yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of odd things going on out there, man. I really don't know, but those are the games that comes to mind.
Well, there you go. So I knew you'd have an inkling, but you think Marathon, what Bungie is working on? Do you think that
I'm thinking, I think they're a little bit, they're a little bit further off than what, I mean, there's just speculation, but I mean, to not have a game trailer yet, for, some gameplay to be shown. I mean, obviously that shows that's pretty far off, kind of like when they showed Wolverine, that's pretty far off. So, and then of course with Factions, and then just hearing the rumors about a Twisted Metal, and then all these live service games. I mean, the only live service game that they showed was Helldivers 2. Mm-hmm. So yeah, no, I mean I don't know, man, but maybe they come to the realization that it's making these live service games is not as easy as they think it might be, and they might need a little bit more time in the oven. So,
well, Naughty Dog found that out when Bungie told them, didn't they? Mm-hmm. told them that Factions is shit. Just delay it.
Right.
Yeah, so I wonder if Bungie's now working with Naughty Dog on getting Factions sorted. So
I'm sure they are.
Maybe.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are.
Yeah, to me, it's just, we talked about this the other day on the show. It was just it's interesting to see basically where Xbox had that held against them on delays and things like that for so long.
Right.
Because Xbox doesn't get a favorable view when it comes to the media or
really?
fan base,
I hadn't noticed.
Right. Yeah. And they get the short end of the stick. But Sony, it seems, with their delays, it'll be all right. It's fine. It's Sony. But it's interesting now because you see, like 2022 obviously was a drought for Xbox. We didn't get the games we wanted to get or expected to get, and it was kind of dry. We got AA games instead. I like those AA games, but it was pretty dry. Now Sony it's funny, was coming back around now. It's finally hitting them. So I wonder how people will react to that overall when I've seen them kind of. The funniest part about it, I say that, but they've been deflecting away from anything Sony just to talk about Xbox. It's funny when I see, you really look at it, because most PlayStation guys talk more about Xbox than anything else. So I guess their way of deflecting is not to think about it or to talk about it. But they only have Spider-Man launching this year, right? Yeah. From what I understand.
Yep.
As far as first party goes, so it is interesting. I like Kay pointed out too on the whole live service games thing. It's not an easy thing to get into, and most of those games are going to fail anyway. So I just wonder what is the outlook for Sony beyond that, because everything we saw in that showcase, not much of it inspired me. I can't speak for everybody else, but Helldivers looked interesting. Spider-Man obviously is a sale for me. I love Spider-Man, but that's Spider-Man. It has nothing to do with Sony. So
I didn't hear you say Foam Stars. I know that I know you peeping that. I know you peeping that.
It's a deep rooted secret I wanted to hold to close to the chest, but
was that first party? Actually, was that game first party?
that was a Ubisoft game.
No, that's Square. That's Square.
That's Square.
That's Square, really.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I think it's a multiplayer, isn't it?
I don't know.
I don't know. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up. I'll find out. Yeah.
I feel like they should keep it over there though,
Square,
because I have no interest in it.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
that
Yes,
game's got
sir.
to drop on Game Pass. otherwise
Internet
it won't
just
play.
says PS4, PS5 at this stage.
Ah.
So
Yeah,
it's a
it can stay there.
How much money have they thrown at that to make that exclusive?
I would, you know what I would
Another
imagine
death.
though. I would imagine after the stock drop and that Square has had, that likely will change over some time, where they're going to try to put it on every platform they can.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be wise of them to. It's a live service type of game. You would be foolish to try to keep it to just 2 platforms. So, but I imagine that after that and the reception they've had of lack of sales and not meeting their expectations for Final Fantasy 16, the high-end expectations as they put it, Square is going to have some attitude adjustment going on with some of their games going forward.
Oh, it's not even coming to PC.
That's foolish. Very foolish.
The game's gonna die.
My God.
And then they'll
I
come
think-
back moaning about sales, aren't they?
Real tragic.
I think they
sales bad, we don't
overestimated.
know why.
They overestimated the PlayStation fan base. I think they overestimated that they would be so engulfed with buying their games. I think personally.
The question is, how much money did PlayStation throw at it?
They must be doing it.
I
They
wonder.
must be doing it.
Because it's
I wonder if it's PlayStation or if it's just mismanagement by Square. I wonder because Square has made a lot of boneheaded moves on their own without Sony's help.
There's a reason why there's a new CEO there, man. So clearly, yeah. Well, I swear there was a Ubisoft game shown at the PlayStation showcase. I must be dreaming. I really thought there was a Ubisoft game shown because it was all
PlayStation.
basically- Yeah.
No, let me think. I can't think of one game from Ubisoft there. No,
must have just made it up.
no. I'll look into it though while we talk about this because I can't think. Bushido, do you remember one?
No, I was thinking that myself when she mentioned it. I don't think I remember not a one.
No, okay. There you go. I'm dreaming.
Not that I can remember.
I mean, the crew Mortal Fest is going to drop in September, but that's a multi-plat. That's going to be on everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, nearly everything that was shown on the PlayStation showcase was multi-plat anyway.
Well, that part is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they showed Mirage, right? Did they show Assassin's Creed Mirage there?
Yeah.
I don't
I
remember.
don't know.
I don't think so.
But that's a multi-plat.
Yeah, the PlayStation showcase revealed that took place May 24th revealed that Assassin's Creed Mirage will launch on October 12th.
Okay. There you go.
We had already seen it at that point though, so it didn't matter. You know what I mean?
got you.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
It was just filler. They just needed filler to just bump their sharp because it had nothing on it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to jump on the next topic. PS5's got so hot at fighting games tournaments, things melted. So you guys must have heard of this. Sony's consoles reportedly cooked USB ports at the fighting game tournament for Street Fighter 6. And this was actually very serious, wasn't it? It was affecting loads of them. And it was even affecting some of them during mid-game, wasn't it? While they was actually having a mass battle, like mid-combat. And then their ports just blew. And one guy, his DualSense ran out of charge while he was playing the game mid-fighting. And now there's talk that they're going to move it onto PC or Xbox now, moving forward. And doesn't Sony own the Evo? Don't they own Evo?
Yes,
they do. Yeah,
wow.
Embarrassing.
The gamers requested, didn't they? Didn't the gamers request it to be either moved to PC or Xbox?
Xbox, yeah.
Now, K Mega, you're a big fighting gamer, aren't you? Yeah. You love your fighters. Are you going to plug in a? Are you going to plug in a controller and try it out?
No, absolutely not. No, listen, I was hearing it because it was crazy because I was watching Evo and they were like when you got to kind of look and see all around, and there was a couple of people that were complaining about it. It was one of the announcers complained about it during Evo. And, of course, they weren't like dogging out PlayStation or nothing, but they were saying that there were some issues. Now, I'm going to take this back a second because my son, he used to do the MLG thing. And between when Xbox had Call of Duty to when PlayStation got the marketing rights for Call of Duty. And one of the reasons why he backed out is because him and his team, they kept on having issues at those PlayStation events because of the games being wired, because those games, those controllers can't be really wired. So there would be these crazy situations going on with the controller not working properly or the controller working on another PlayStation. And then they would have to reset, start over, and things like that. And so eventually their crew dissolved. And so then, he got out of it and got into real estate. But but that was a problem then. I can imagine now going into seeing this because again, with I never really thought about the PlayStation 5 running hot or anything like that. But yeah, those USB ports, I guess if they're out there playing and it's cooking and you got multiple people plugging in their fight sticks and their controllers and things of that nature in order, to get the best reaction from the game, the best latency, I should say, from the game. And what was some of the people giving their excuses were that, well, some of these people don't know how to properly take care of their stuff. So they were just yanking they would get mad and they would yank out their USB ports out. And so that would damage. And so there would be some people pissed off. But then when you had multiple PlayStation 5s doing this, all within the same weekend, it's not just a coincidence of just people just being pissed off and just doing it. It is a issue that we've been talking about with PlayStation and how hot the console was going ever since the console first launched. So it would make sense, and when you have all these people gathered in one room and you're playing these PlayStations, for hours upon hours upon hours, and those things run hot, it's bound to happen. So yeah, it's unfortunate and it is embarrassing because, like you said, PlayStation does own Evo, and when you have the fighting community asking for the competitor to come on or PC, yeah, that's not a good look. So most likely, I could see that PC might be the way to go going forward. I just can't see Sony just succumbing to the throat needle and saying, well, yeah, let's just go ahead and have Xboxes shown at our event that we own and our consoles is not represented. So yeah, I think it will probably go to PCs, or they will have like maybe some special edition PlayStations that's available that they will look in and check into, that they will have available for people to play during Evo. But yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. It's very embarrassing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, this is not the first game.
Well, the question is this happened in any other console in history? Is anyone aware of this happening before?
No.
None that I can think of.
Yeah, this is what I was going back to saying, like with the PlayStation 4, but it wasn't a USB thing. It was just because of the controllers reading in the wrong areas, and they would have to reset and start over again because it would, you couldn't. If somebody's controller didn't work or controllers didn't work, that was an issue. But that was the only reason, not anything like this. I've never heard of anything like this before.
And that's because Sony is a genius. That's why.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. So, I mean, USB ports do warm up a little bit, which makes sense because you're there's data going back and forth. But to get that hot is ridiculous. To melt something has to be like, if you touched it, it'd burn your fingers, right? It has to be to that heat. So that is concerning. Why it's not dissipating and why it's getting that hot is got to be looked at. And obviously these guys are doing a tournament where, they're hammering it out for hours on end. But I mean, you can still be doing, but you still could be doing the same thing at home, right? You could set up a party with your friends and you could be, doing your own tournament at home or online, and the same thing could happen. So it is.
I think you guys are kind of missing one key detail here.
Oh shit!
And you got to remember they were playing Street Fighter, right? And fighting games.
Mm-hmm.
This is Sony's patented 4D technology, where you're throwing Hadoukens and yoga flames, and it's emulating that in real life by melting your device. You see.
I was wondering where you go with that.
You see, I'm trying to elevate you guys here. You see,
Genius.
exactly.
You're
It's
thinking on
the
another level. You're thinking on
there you
another
go.
level.
You get it.
brother.
You get it now.
Educate us.
You get
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
That's what it really is. You see, it's just 4D tech, and it you know you have to sign when you bought a PS5. You don't see it in the small details, but it in the, you know
Right.
in their letterhead they have it where, hey, when you play fighting games, it's going to get hot out there, and you're going to melt some things. And they didn't mean your enemies on screen; they meant your device. So it is what it is. You know, it's just patented 4D tech. Xbox is behind in that category. You know, we got some ways to go when it comes to that. You know, like look at this action on screen right there. This will probably melt your USB plug if you had it plugged in right now on PlayStation. You see, so that's all it is. Sony is just ahead of the game. That's all it is, Ashtray. You know,
innovative
I've seen the recent
technology.
recent
I like it.
comparisons of Hi-Fi Rush is struggling on PlayStation 5, isn't it?
yeah,
Not Hi-Fi Rush. What's the other
High
one?
on Life.
High on Life is struggling. The PS5 is struggling to run it, and that's High on Life, man. But there was
you know,
the first time
even though you said
fire.
Hi-Fi Rush, I heard High on Life in my head for some reason.
Yeah. I've got Blue One in chat. No, this is not the first time. Final Fantasy 16, I believe, was setting PlayStation 5s on fire, and I think Returnal also was causing some fires on PlayStation 5s. It just seems like
it was memory wipes. I remember that being one of the things was memory wipes and overheating. Yeah,
I
and
think
remember
bottom line is
Sony had
problems as well.
Okay. I remember Sony had kind of put the blame on House Marquee, and House Marquee threw it right back like, no, that's PlayStation problem. I was like, wow,
piece of shit console. Yeah, I think that seems to be the bottom line here, that the console's shit, isn't it? It's not made by genius at all. Sony's probably walked away rubbing his hands together, isn't he?
It's just Mark Cerny's hot in here package. That's all it is.
Our shit's so
I
hot.
don't mean any disrespect, but the console's shit. It's poorly built. It looks like a monster. It looks awful. Everyone said that from the beginning, didn't they? I think when it first came out. I know I've done videos on it. That the way it's created, it's just not a good setup. I mean, the Xbox Series X is created more like a PC. But
Elite. They preempted the melting. That's why the design is the way it is. So it's hard to tell.
Yeah, you can't see the damage it's doing.
Yeah,
good points.
So Pyro
You guys
asked
are really on top of it tonight.
Pyro asked an interesting question. He said, "Do you think that at Evo they're using the first revision consoles from early 2022, the one that they reduced the heatsink? Yeah, it could be it. You think?
Yep, I'm thinking that's definitely it.
They could
be thinking, Pyro.
Yeah, they'd be using the most recent, wouldn't they? Which has the smallest. So the most recent revision was like what, this year? Because they've had about 3 or 4 revisions so far.
Has it been that many?
Yeah. Well, one was just for
I only remember
the
one.
antennas.
Wow.
But no, there's been about 3 or 4 revisions.
One that replaced the fans on it.
They've changed the heatsink every time except for the one with the antenna change. Yeah.
They've done it for.
Yeah.
Only 3 years in, they've already changed it 4 times, and now they're talking about a gen refresh. Basically starting the game, rebooting it because it's broken.
So I was getting ready to say, maybe that's the reason why they're doing the mid-gen refresh, because they realize this ain't working at all. It's kind of messed up.
Everyone. Mark Cerny.
Well, I mean,
it's
got a fairly limited shelf life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's what it
I said
seems
that
like.
in the video. Said that in the video. I've said the PlayStation 5. Look at the stats. It's overclocked, and it will overheat, and it will have a short shelf life. Anything, even PCs, you overclock something. Any PC gamer knows that it lessens your hardware. It weakens
Absolutely.
It.
Have you got any of you guys had your Xbox Series S or X fan spool up at all?
No.
Never.
No.
Never
heard it at all. Not one time.
The most
once for me.
Yeah.
The most I've ever had is just the Xbox like shut down on me from a game. I forgot what it was, but that was the most I've ever had. But as far as hearing it spool up, I didn't experience that.
My launch console did it a couple of times, but I just sprayed it out, with some air. But my Halo edition hasn't done it once. So, and that's got extra holes in the back as well. It's got like an extra row of holes to breathe. So that's probably helped as well. But launch editions, I've heard spool up a couple of times. I think Dealer's had his spool up over the time, but he's also found that he's had a lot of cat hair in his, so that explains that.
He got
But other than
okay.
that, there's
Yeah.
no other overheating
The old
issues that
pussy
I've
hair.
heard of.
Gets everywhere, doesn't
Uh,
it? Yeah.
it happened for me. It happened to me once.
In between your teeth.
What game were you playing,
with,
K Mega?
I was playing what is the game just got discontinued this year, and I was beating that story. What is that shooter? Crossfire. No, Crossfire X.
Oh, okay.
And so I thought, like, no, I was like, what the hell? Like, I never heard it like spin up like that before, that loud and crazy. And so I was thinking, like, whoa, so I did the same thing, air sprayed it, do all that. And then I went back and then I finished the rest of that area in the game. And it was a lot of things going on at there. It was close to towards the end of the game when it did it. And so after I beat the game, I went back to that certain place to see if it would do it again. And sure enough, so I think it was just something that has to do with that particular level, particular spot and that level in the game in Crossfire X, because it did it again. But I haven't. That was the only time that I've heard it like kick in like that.
I think that was your Xbox. I think that was your Xbox trying to tell you to get off that game. It's like, no.
Hey, Crossfire X's story was pretty fun, man. It was pretty fun.
It's Remedy.
It was trying to save you. It was trying to save you from yourself. It's like, turn it off. Turn it off.
Well, it's turned off now forever, so we ain't got to worry about it.
The blue said high on life on PlayStation looking like low on life.
That's so funny.
That's tough.
There you go.
There you go.
So continue with the good news. Destiny 2's players are furious about Bungie's new state of the game post. So I think the new updates to Destiny 2 and players not happy and dropping the game like people drop stuff. They got nothing. So Destiny 2 is just losing its popularity since Sony took over, and this is the second time now that players have been disgruntled by it. There's a 6,400 word post. Who did that? It's probably Woolly Gamer. Complaining about the game. Complained about it, but so Destiny's dropping off basically. In a nutshell, what this whole statement goes on about is Destiny's dropping off. Fans are not happy with the game, and losing interest in it. What's your thoughts on that? Is this a Sony effect they have on games? Is Bungie's mind elsewhere, like i.e. trying to fix factions that's fucked up as well?
Well, that's an interesting question, Elite. I haven't really played Destiny and Destiny 2 because I sort of tried to get into them a bit too late, and it was too overwhelming, and there was too much shit going on, and it was too hard for me. But I know, exactly. So I sort of just went, fuck it, I'll just move on. Yeah. But so the question I think really is for you guys that have played it a lot from the beginning to now, has it sort of just lost momentum anyway? Or has there been a clear sign that since Sony bought them, it's dropped off dramatically? I want to know if there's really just been a decline anyway or not. Any of you guys play it?
Yeah, I used to be a big Destiny player. I think that Destiny it's just something that, well, Destiny 2, excuse me, but I think that Destiny, when it comes to Destiny and its community, they are really, really always at odds with each other, like a married couple. The game is really good, but there are times that when it comes to content, they don't necessarily make each other happy. They'll pump out some content, but then it'll be something that the fans love and just will give them like high praise for. And then there'll be some times where they'll pump out some content where fans are not happy at all. There'll be times where it has been times where people were just in love with it and can't wait to play it. And then there's some times where they get the DLC and they're just upset that it's not that long or it's not that good. It's just like that with Destiny. It's just part of the the normal rotation I've always found for Destiny to be like that with the community and as far as their work is concerned. So I don't. In any other instance, I would love to drop this into Sony's lap, but inside this instance, I don't think that's the case. It's just normally what I've seen from Bungie and their turnout of DLC and content for the game. Sometimes it'll get great reviews, like the Taken King, one of the best ever, Vault of Glass, probably the best ever. You'll get things like that, and then you'll get ones like I forgot that one that came out just recently with the Halloween thing, and everybody hated it. Something the Witch Queen. That's it. Yeah, the Witch Queen. So you're gonna get that stuff, but it's just part of how it is with Bungie is, as far as I'm concerned, with Destiny is concerned. So and the funny part is they'll complain. They're still gonna play it though. They're always gonna play it. They'll always keep coming back like a battered gamer. They're gonna come back, and complain some more that he hit me, and I didn't say anything, and the next thing you know, they're back together again. So,
Man, I gotta say this gameplay footage I'm watching here, Ashtray. You have like some 4D sound effects because I can hear like button presses and clicks and stuff. It's just magical. I don't know how I'm hearing that, but listen,
I
I don't play
don't know what you're
Destiny like
talking
that.
about.
I don't know. I was just talking about the gameplay on the screen. That's all.
Sure.
That's all I was just focused on. But I would say I don't play Destiny like that myself. But just looking at it and reading through it, I mean, it's 30 to 40% of the players who asked for this specific thing. You can't just ignore them. They're saying, "Hey, we want this PvP," and they're like, "Yeah, we hear you." And they did Phil Spencer, "We hear you, but no." So you can't do that. I mean, it's going to hurt you in the long run, and players are going to start to abandon them. But I do agree with Bushido. It's kind of like a battered wife syndrome, as they would say, like, yeah, or spouse syndrome. I guess it would be the more proper way to say it. These gamers are entrenched into that ecosystem, into that style of gaming. I couldn't do it because I have too much other things to get into, and I don't want to divest. That's basically as in an MMO, and I just couldn't do it. But so I think they're saying that. But are they really going to abandon Destiny? Not in droves or anything. I just don't see it happening. Not until the next big thing comes along and pulls their attention away. But I can see why gamers are upset. I actually saw something too where they were talking about Bungie has been restrictive on them sharing clips and taking, I guess, posting screenshots, things of that nature of the game. So it's a lot of stuff that has negatively impacted the community that they need to correct. And I don't know. Is it the PlayStation effect? I don't know. No, I'm joking.
Bad management. Do you think they just slow down, given up because they're focused on that new game Marathon? So lost interest in Destiny.
Who knows?
Could be. Never know.
But it sounds like from what you guys have said, it's sort of kind of been on the decline really anyway. And you're right. I have heard that they've pissed some people off with locking things down and taking content away and adding new stuff, whereas it should always be available once it's there, kind of thing. So it's probably a bit of, it's probably mainly just that at the end of the day. And Bungie can always right the ship. They've done it before in the past, so they'll get there.
But talking about locking stuff down, and let's go back to Square Enix. Square Enix bafflingly backtracks on Final Fantasy 16 sales and blames slow adoption rate. So Monday, this came out that Final Fantasy 16 Shock Horror didn't sell at all well, and they're very disappointed with the sales of Final Fantasy 16. I mean, we sort of touched on this previously earlier, but I mean, what do you guys have to say to that? I don't know what they was hoping for. I mean, we've just been talking about what's the other game they're releasing, which is only going to be on PlayStation 5 and 4. Home Stars, which is already going to be dead in arrival, let alone being on into platforms. But why is Square Enix self-destructing on this? And then why are they complaining about it? Is Sony paying them? Sony must be giving them a lot of wedge to just to kill themselves, basically. So Final Fantasy 16 sales are under par. It's not sold at all well. What's your opinion on that, guys?
I think it's just, again, it goes back to what we were talking about a while ago. Square shooting themselves in the foot. I think that they put an over reliance on Sony and thought that because of what it worked in the past, that same style of strategy would work here, and I don't think it does anymore. More gamers have moved on to being PC players. We got plenty on the Xbox side of things that could have supported them. It's not like the game sold terribly, but it definitely could have sold better. And ignoring the PC crowd at the very least was idiotic. It's like, you don't put that and delay that for a Sony. You would have made back whatever they gave you, I think, twofold at the very least by putting out a proper game on PC and PlayStation and Xbox at the same time. I just think it's very foolish and short-sighted. And again, though, I think they're paying for it now. So that's why you saw them come to the table with Final Fantasy 14 and welcome Phil's son up to the stage. You know what I mean? It is what it is. Listen, I look at it like their loss is our gain. Now, I don't think I'll be jumping on Final Fantasy 14 anytime soon, but once Final Fantasy 16 makes that shift over to us next year or whatever it may be, and they start to properly release games everywhere instead of just favoring Sony as if they're a first-party studio, maybe their financials will turn around. Until then, continue to fail, Square. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Don't know when they can learn. It's going to be hard love, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
For good old Square Enix. To be honest, I've never rated Square Enix. I don't know why people go on about them. I think their games are mid at best. I can't think of a really decent game they've made in recent years. So maybe you guys can prove me wrong.
Well, considering they sold off the Western Division, which had the likes of Tomb Raider, that was obviously, we need money. Let's sell this off, and we should be able to coast through and build back up. But that clearly that hasn't worked. That didn't work, and just being sort of exclusive to PlayStation's really hurt them. And again, we've said it 1,000 times before. That's why the old CEO's gone and the new one's in there, and they've signed this deal for Final Fantasy 14 because they know that they need to make that money. They're not getting it from PlayStation. I don't know if that relationship now will probably be soured, and they'll just release things multi-plat and going forward, and they'll probably try and build their stuff back up. But bad business decisions, and we're seeing the result of that. So it'll be interesting now, though. That's just another developer or publisher that's not going to really sort of be exclusive to PlayStation. So are others going to see that as well and go, hang on a second, we want our game to perform better than that? No, Sony, we're not going to take that deal. Even if it's worth a lot, we can see the longevity of the game, or even just the view of our business in the public eye. No, we're actually going to just release it multi-plat, and that's more of our safer option.
Xbox knew this ages ago, and that's why they started releasing the games day one on PC alongside Xbox. So it's still sort of getting that sort of catch rate. But Sony, Square Enix seem to be just, no, we'll just take Sony's money and release their games just on PlayStation. Because they're not even releasing some of them on PC, are they? Just literally just on PlayStation. They're just killing themselves. It's just weird.
It is.
I think when they looked at it, I think they looked at the money first, and then they looked at the attach rate on the base of the PlayStation players, and figured that there's no way we could really lose, that much money, even if we got 5% of that base, we should make out pretty well, and the money we're getting from PlayStation. But come to find out, it was a little bit misperceived, because obviously the numbers don't support any thought of them making at least 5 million. If they would have sold at least 5 million, I think they would have called that a pretty good success. But selling 3 million, I think that really put a hurting on them as far as what they projected as what they would make.
I think it seems a very short-sighted view from them.
That's
that's how I see it. It's you know, you see it in businesses all the time where, oh, we'll make that quick money here, we'll make it there, and if we keep doing that, we should be able to survive. But it's not really kind of how it works. You have to, you know, especially being a third party game publisher or business, and you're locking yourself down to one platform. You know, you're alienating your customer base. And that's where people start to go, hang on a sec, well, why the hell should I buy your games if it's only going to be available on one platform where I want to play it on PC or Xbox or Switch or whatever it might be, and you're just making it over there? Well, no, screw you guys. I'll wait for it to come to my platform that I prefer to play on, or you've lost a sale. And that's what people's reactions are. And I think over the years, and it's not just Xbox doing it, we see it in everything. We see it in food. We see it in every market. It's all about options, and that's what people want. We're used to it now. We're used to being able to pick and choose what we want and how we want it and when we want it. So locking stuff down is actually just now probably more of a counter to that, and it's pissing people off more than anything. So, you know, it's not the way business is done anymore, and they're seeing the result of that. K-Mega.
What's going to over everyone, even plus Sony, I think, this generation. Is this almost?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I just wanted to just say that Square, I really enjoy Square games. I mean, now the situation with Final Fantasy 16, I mean, I've made it clear my thoughts about that game, well, about what the director said, about history. Well, I can't support that game, but with everything else, I like Square games a lot. But it was just, you know, like, I mean, yeah, they just had a different thought process of looking at the old way of how their games were, you know, because they had so many PlayStations out there in the wild, and they were selling more than they were on Xbox and maybe on Nintendo or whatever the case may be. But it seems like the proof is in the pudding when you go back and you look. The last Final Fantasy game that was multi-plat has still maintained and outsold all the rest of the Final Fantasy games that's come out combined. I mean, that's just...
Do you have the numbers on that, Mega?
It's about 15 to 20 million for Final Fantasy 15. And then so you got 3 million here. You got 7 million for Final Fantasy 7 Remake. You see what I'm like? I mean, just the numbers. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, so you can even be generous and say that Final Fantasy 7 Remake is going to sell 10 million. Final Fantasy 16 can sell 5 million. But the biggest factor is that every Final Fantasy game seems to keep selling less than its predecessor, and that right there is an indication on the strategy that maybe at one point in time, if this was last gen, it would probably work, but this gen it just doesn't seem to work. On top of the fact of what we talked about earlier, is that $70 price tag, that is just a little too steep, man. Like, I mean, if that game was $60, it might have sold 4 million, another million, maybe another 1.5 million, because you know what I'm saying, that extra $10 to some people may seem like it doesn't mean anything, but it means the world to a lot of people, especially if they are a person that only buys 2 to 5 games a year or 2 to 4 games a year. And then they might like, well, man, I this looks really fun. I really want to give it a shot. But then you look and you see a game that's $50, $60 compared to a game that's $70, $80. It just, for some reason, that extra $10 is just holding off a lot of people when it comes to buying games. So yeah, no, their strategy has been asked for the last, I don't know, 5 years. So we understand that Sony gave them the bag, but I think now that's why, I don't know who actually said that, where they said Phil's son came through, but you're absolutely right.
Well,
the game has to be changed.
What about the fact that the franchise has been around for a long time? Maybe people are getting over the franchise. Maybe they're sick of Final Fantasy games. I mean, what about that?
I don't think that's the case. I think what it is that the Final Fantasy fan base the old heads, they like Final Fantasy 15 was kind of like the barometer, right? Like the combat was just right. Well, now with Final Fantasy 16, like you're turning this into like Devil May Cry. You see what I'm saying? So like it's more of a thing for them. It's like when you go and you see traditional turn-based games doing well, talking about a game like Persona 5, that's a traditional turn-based game. And that is in Persona, which was a niche franchise, is now, because it's still staying true to tradition, even though there's a lot of people that say that they don't like turn-based games, all you got to look and see what's going on with Boulder Gates 3 and then what you see with Persona and how they're still growing. They're not declining. So that to me is where Square Enix is kind of out of touch. I don't know if that was them just making this decision to want to get away from turn-based because they felt like the turn-based was, because they listened to what people from our space talks about and say that it's, kind of an old genre that just doesn't seem like it will benefit. But what people don't like, people like a little change, but when you make a whole big change, and this is for me, and if people know me, they know how much I love Halo 5, right? But a lot of people do not like the fact of too much change. So when you take something from like, let's just say from Halo, and then from the traditionalist that likes Halo the way that it used to be, then you get something like Halo 5, and then you kind of go back to but it's still not the traditional way. It's going to have a weird kind of play out, like how we see what's going on with Halo right now. The same thing I think is happening with Square Enix, is that they're thinking outside the box, but really what it is that people just want you to do the games that you've done, add some innovation, but let's not go so overboard that the games don't feel like Final Fantasy. That's my thoughts about it.
Well,
what game that they did? I'm sorry, I mean, cut you off.
No, you go. All good.
There is one game that I felt as though they did do right, was Octopath. I thought Octopath was all the things that needed to be done in Final Fantasy. It almost seems like they experimented and made a separate game. That's what it just seems like. I'm just saying, but it just seems like that, because that game right there is the shot. That's my favorite RPG now. Like, that thing is fantastic. I would highly recommend anyone to go back and play the first one and the second one. Just great games. And in that instance, it looks like that's where all the innovation went in, as far as I was concerned. And the problem that they made for this one is you had the height of the franchise. This franchise go from Nintendo and to Xbox, but then you only release it on Nintendo and the PlayStation, and you skip Xbox. It just didn't make sense to me to do that after you already got a base now over in Xbox.
Right. And they're so iffy about how they've been presenting games. Like, okay, yes, how is it that Final Fantasy VII Remake doesn't come to Xbox, nor will Rebirth will not come to Xbox, but then you give us Final Fantasy Crisis Core. That's the prequel. Like, what?
Right.
So you're going to give us a prequel, but then yet you're not going to give us this, and then you give us Kingdom Hearts. You give us Kingdom's Heart on Xbox, and then you also give us the first, like you said, Octopath Traveler, but yet the second game doesn't come to Xbox. We don't know. I mean, so far the Final Fantasy remakes are not coming to Xbox, and then you look and you see, like, and then just to throw a game, which I think the game is pretty damn dope, but you throw a game in like Diofield. You didn't help promote it. You didn't do anything. You just kind of threw it in there. And so people ain't going to buy that because they don't have trust into you bringing their games, especially their bigger titles. So if you just throw a bone at Xbox gamers, they will react with their wallets. I mean, case in point, all you got to do is just look what happened with Titanfall. When old dude from Respawn came out there and started trying to extra promote and get all cute, talking about he loves blue instead of green. Look what happened with Titanfall 2. It sold like mud. So, and
that's a great game too.
Yeah, and it's a great game. But the problem is that EA was looking at the numbers of like, oh, well, then of course it was EA at the time who got them. Yeah, and just man, you can't just keep making those mistakes. If you got multiplats, if these games has been multiplats, I get it. Now the remakes, Sony paid the money for it, then okay, I can understand that. But don't give us Crisis Core. I mean, that's a part of the remake. That's the prequel. Like, that just doesn't make no damn sense. Their strategy is just all over the place. And I'm glad that they got a new CEO. So hopefully that they'll clean things up and we at least start getting more titles from Square Enix. But right now it's just ass juice how they operate it. It's just pure garbage. Pure garbage. Pure garbage. It's just been garbage.
Ass juice.
Speaking of garbage, Elite, where are you?
Damn.
He knows he's a piece of shit.
I'm muted. And ready to go on to the next topic. Oh. Yeah.
All right, go on.
Ready? Are you ready? Right. Actually, I started this topic off a while back, and it got shared and whatever quite a lot. And then Ryan McCafferty thought he'd pick up on it. So, because he likes following me.
He's a muppet.
So, but he's right, though, only because I said it first. PSVR, he said, I massively regret spending £597, including tax, that I spent on the PSVR2. I have great VR game experience, and I was so excited that Sony was doubling down with the second gen of VR. But it's just gathering dust, and he's going to sell it, and he's had enough, and yada, yada, yada. So PSVR is really discussion here. What the fuck? Right? Is it dead already? Is it gone? Is it over with now? Can we just move on now and just stop talking about VR and pretending it's a thing? Phil was right. I said Phil was right a while back that we're just not ready for VR yet because we've not got the support. So I said about Sony, they're not supporting it with their first party. They're not throwing money at it. It's gonna die, and I was right for a second time. PSVR, everyone, who's in it or who's not for it?
Well, see, I'm not for VR, especially with the way it's at now. It's just not to the level that I would invest into because it's another peripheral that costs almost the same amount, if not the same amount as a console itself, right? So
it's more than the console, yeah.
Right. So it's an expensive peripheral to have, and if you want anything to sell, it has to have content. What doesn't it have? It doesn't have a lot of content. And the content that it does have, although the experience might be enjoyable and fun, it's not something that's going to make people hardcore gamers, and there's not enough of it to keep people coming back constantly. So it's an expensive way to enjoy a few games. Coupled with the price, then you add in the situation with the world economics and stuff. It's not doing that well for all those factors. And they've brought it out at the wrong time. Also, well done. They only have one cable, but it should have been wireless. There's already wireless headsets out there that exist. So there's no reason why it couldn't be wireless except for price, maybe. So that's kind of against it as well. You need to be able to have a product. You need to be able to promote it. I haven't seen any advertisement for it. There's not to say that there isn't advertisement for it, but I haven't seen any. So they're not promoting it. They cut down their initial forecast for it. It's just not in a good place. It came out at the wrong time, and the content's just not there. So I think as a whole, though, although I'm not really a VR person, there are VR people out there. And although a lot of them will sort of say, no, VR is really cool, it's just... it needs this, it needs that. And that's what's lacking. So it's really content at the end of the day. You need a game where it's going to really just get you enthralled into it, where you're actually doing something instead of just paddle boat or walking. It needs to be more adventurous than that.
You need a bunch of Half-Life Alexes. Let's be clear. The thing is I'm in the same boat with you, Ashtray, and I've said this before. I've been on other podcasts. I've been on the Weapon Wheel podcast, which is a hooved brother den. Shout out to our brother.
You had to have a wash after that, yeah. Fuck.
I'll say the cast was fair to me, but some of the chat was a little extra here and there. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But we had the same discussion, and I think what happens is a lot of fans, be it PlayStation or Xbox, they get so enamored because of that platform that they feel they have to defend everything. And I have to defend the honor of this device that I know I'm not going to ever use. It's a niche device, you know, and it's super expensive with limited gaming that you would really enjoy, at least us, as far as the hardcore crowd. Let's just be real here. You know what I mean? And it's like you said, it is not to the level of where I would need it to be before I could invest in something like that. For me, and it's unrealistic, but it would have to be at the level of a Ready Player One before I get into some VR stuff. I just can't see me putting that thing on my head and just running around or looking stupid, swinging around in the air. I just have no interest in doing that. I really don't. I feel like it is a waste of time. And I don't say all this because it's PlayStation. I don't care for any VR. So it's not just PlayStation. Even when Nintendo had the, what was the name of that? Virtual Boy. I tried that out. Now that was far worse experience, of course, but at the time. But it just, I remember trying it out in the kiosk they had at a Toys R Us. That tells you how far back that was, and yeah, and it was just boring as hell and harmful to the eyes. It felt too. But now, fast forward to now. Now we've come a long way, but to get into that mode of that. It's like you said, I'm going to have some serious hardcore games that would draw me in. Half-Life Alyx could do that, but you're going to have a string of those. It's going to have to be killer apps, must-haves, and I don't think VR has enough of those to pull me away from traditional style gaming, especially with a peripheral that expensive. To me, it's a waste of time and money. Just give me a quality traditional game. I'll stick to that. That's how I see it, and I don't want to sound more harsh than not, you know, it might come off, but it's just it's not something I would want to play or invest in.
So when you were on the Weapon Wheel podcast, were they damage controlling it? Were they defending it, or were they being sincere and legit? Slightly.
They were like, well, I mean, you do have all these other games you can play, and you know, they made, I wouldn't say excuses, but they definitely, some that did care for it. I believe Broken Games HD, he likes it, so he defended it. But the point of it is, even he admitted that you can't play it for long periods of time, you know, because it's not a traditional style. So you get nauseated, you get sick. You know, some people can't do it at all because you can get sick immediately. You know, it's just not a good experience. And if I have to play something, and I even said this there, I said if I have to play a game, and the risk is I get sick playing it, that's not a good experience. If I played anything on console the traditional way, and I was getting sick playing it, just turning it on and running around a little bit, that's a diminishment to my enjoyment all over. So why would I want that type of experience? Why would I want to pay a premium to not enjoy something? It's a waste.
Yeah, exactly. Look, you mentioned Half-Life Alyx. Yeah, but it's still not there. Why are they just showing hands? You need to see sort of the arms and a bit of a body that makes it feel like it's you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
If they can get that kind of thing right, that view and that feeling, you know, you could make an awesome Assassin's Creed game.
You could do so much, but they got a ways to go.
Yeah,
like you look at people talk about that, and I remember that a lot of our Hoove brothers were like happy about the Horizon VR game. What was it, Call of the Mountain? And they were like,
Call of the Mountain.
And they were trying so hard to hype that up, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like,
they really were.
I'm like, this is some bull right here. And they were like moving rocks around and stuff, and like, ooh, look at me move a rock around, and I'm like, this is your enjoyment right here, huh? I'm moving a rock around. They picked up a rock. Oh, and I carved something on this stone. Like, get out of here. That is a waste. I cannot expect. And isn't that title $70, by the way?
Yeah. Ooh, I
don't
know.
Man, if I'm not mistaken.
Man, please.
Yeah, if I'm not, let me look that up. I want to be certain.
You just paid $600 to move a rock.
How much is the Horizon PSVR?
You know what the problem I have with VR while he's looking that up? My problem is the games are so short. These games aren't even 10 hours sometimes. And
okay,
I'm not paying
60,
that kind of price for a game that's, yeah, still though. I'm not paying that kind of price for a game that's so short. And also too, I can't play it that long. So if I can't play VR at all, to be honest with you, I have a bad back, and so it gives me neck pain also. So VR is off the table for me. But I'm not interested in it as of now as an Xbox player. I'm interested in Xbox delivering great IP, first party IP. So right about now, I'd rather them get that straight than invest in VR at this time. Not that VR should be off the table completely, but not at this moment. They need to get everything else straight first before they start open up another division and working on the
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
release was $70. It's cheaper now because it's been out for a
Oh
while.
wow, what's 70
Oh, so it
bucks?
was.
So it was
was
70 then.
It was $70. Yeah,
Oh,
it was
man.
$70 on
Wow.
launch.
Now,
Ridiculous.
do you guys remember a concept that Xbox brought out about, I want to say about 5 years ago, called Lightroom? And what it was
No.
like a projector where it would show, so you'd have to set a projector up, a small one. It would use your TV screen, but it would project the rest of the image around the screen. Look it up. It's called like Lightroom or something, right? And if you had that coupled with augmented reality, that would then be awesome.
What's augmented reality?
So that
I'm just asking questions, man.
He did a smart
is it
ass.
the way I said it or what?
Yeah.
It's the next one up from VR.
It should be
VR.
augmented reality.
Augmented
These niggas
reality?
augment. That's
Okay.
why he's trying to be an ass. Now, listen.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a UK thing.
Well, I'm in Australia.
It's a bit special.
Whatever. But yeah, that would, a mix of that would be awesome, because then you can still see everything properly.
It's like the HoloLens, basically.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, HoloLens,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. See, Boba just said it too. That's the thing I'm thinking of. If you're meaning that.
That's
Yeah,
what I
I
mean.
remember that when they had the little animated thing of running around and stuff. Yeah, I remember some of that. Yeah, like if they go far with it like that, sure. But like it's to me, it's like it's a bunch of negative factors around this thing. It's like you got this thing sitting on your face, and it's not a good. It's not a good thing.
It's not warm and moist.
What?
It's not a it's not a good thing. It's not the woman I would want. You got this thing, you got this device sitting on your face, and you're just wailing around in the air.
You do look funny with it on the outside, looking in. I can see you now raising your arm with 2 arms, as if you had a sword in your hand or whatever, and everybody's just looking. You got those big old glasses on. Yeah, it does look funny.
I don't know.
And don't trip over it either.
I know.
I think until we get these blockbusters, these first-party blockbusters supporting it, we want to see horror games. I'd like to see like Batman. You actually Batman, and you're going around. When you're gliding, and that you're going through a city, you can look around and stuff like that.
Man, I
Or
want to beat the
GTA
criminals
VR.
and then be like, talk like Batman.
Yeah, and actually
That's what I
hold
want.
them down. You got your fist on them, and just pounding them. You can look at your fist; it's covered in blood, and you're just pounding shit at them.
Yeah,
Or boxing
beat them to a
VR,
coma, and then while they're knocked out, I'll be like, now talk. That's what I want to do.
Blood
I want to be able to show up
dripping
at his
from the face.
bedside at the hospital.
Yeah, shut up. Or GTA in VR, or a decent boxing game in VR, or even games like Grounded in VR, or Sea of Thieves in VR. Until you get games like that, I think these games are doing, or decent horror games. You've got some really good horror games out. Put them in VR. Until then, the games they're sort of dropping in VR is stuff like literally walking simulators, or rowing a boat, or sort of swimming.
It's still not
or just
that many
general
games on it.
things we do anyway.
Yeah, it's just not that many games on it at all, in all honesty, though. And then to top it off, when you finally get one, and you can't play the games that you already purchased on the new set. I don't understand how you would do that, and I'm okay with that. And I'm surprised that PlayStation players were okay with that. That I bought the games on the other iteration, but I can't play them on the newer iteration. I don't understand that. I understand how they just sat and took that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my bad. It's called Room. I've just put a link in the chat, and I've put a link in our Discord. Yeah, have a look at that. Room. Sorry, not Lightroom or whatever I said.
Room. Let me look that up.
Yeah, well, it's in the Discord there if you want to have a look at the link. Yeah. So projected the image on the screen, and it didn't matter if there were bookshelves and stuff there. It was So it made it seem like it was more encumbersome, like you were involved in it more. That was pretty cool,
But,
the concept.
I don't think VR is going to pick up for another generation or two until it drops in price, until it becomes more affordable, and the games it's supported by some decent games. Otherwise, yeah, it's just waste of money. And I just feel like Sony just threw this out just to charge 600 quid for just nothing, and just because obviously they sold about 3 million units. That's like 3,600,000.
RNG to that alone has got to be expensive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting, Ashtray. I'm looking at it. I don't know, man.
It's pretty cool.
It's kind of
like
cool, but
your tools to inspire.
You know how you're trying to sell yourself to be positive or something? You're like, well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Safo said they should make a Spider-Man VR game. They actually made a Spider-Man VR game and it was awful.
That's something that would
VR game.
get my attention. Yeah, that would get my
The one
attention.
they made was awful though. They did make one.
The Hulk or something like that, and I get to be that person, but it still has to, like you said, it's got to be on that Half-Life Alex.
Yeah. The budget behind it.
Oh, listen, how much that'll cost? Licensing and everything too? Oh yeah, that's going to be expensive. Outside Spider-Man, of course.
Pretty penny.
Yeah. A Superman game would be good, VR, Superman. Especially you could fly at the supersonic speeds and stuff like that.
Could be kind of fun, maybe.
In the Microsoft world, the Microsoft Flight Sim, imagine in that world where you're just flying along at really super speeds as Superman, and you can look around as you're flying.
I wish they would make a regular Superman game.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind playing that.
Yeah. Just like the Flash, I think we'll never get one because I think it's just too hard a concept to make as a game, isn't it?
He's a character that I like to. I wish Assassin was inside the chat so I could say that the reason why no one want to make a Flash game is the Flash is boring. The Flash can only run fast, and he can only make waves with his hands when he spins them real fast.
Yeah,
little dusters. I just find that. I think that most people in America and across the world really find the Flash as a useless character, and it's a shame that
assassin.
This man's slander is terrible. Golly, my goodness.
Listen, Assassin really gets mad when I talk bad about the Flash. Oh my God, he gets really mad. And I remember telling him, no, listen, I've been getting at him with the Flash movie. First of all, legit though, no troll. That is one of the worst comic book movies of all time. I thought I'd at least get into it to watch Supergirl fight Zod, and it's going to have all this action in it. Give me some Man of Steel action, which I still love. That movie disappointed on so many levels. It was boring. The writing was bad. The acting was bad. Well, at least from Ezra Miller. It was juvenile. It was stupid. And then when it came to the action, it was flat. I was so pissed. I wasted 2.5 hours watching that movie. It was horrible. And don't get me started with the babies. Don't get me started with the
I saw that scene.
That was just the dumbest. That right there should have told me. I always told me and my daughter, we got this thing about movies. And I said, listen, you got telltale signs if a movie's going to be good or if a movie's going to be bad. And that was a telltale sign that the movie was going to be bad. It was horrible.
You know what I don't get? Why they have him running that way? Like he's like, I don't know.
I know.
He runs is weird.
I almost said something offensive, but I stopped myself. But he runs really, really stupidly.
I have a feeling what you're going to say.
I hate it when he touches the ground.
Oh, shit.
Hey, Assassin said he's officially on my side.
Assassin is there. Yeah, the Flash is one of those characters that, when they first created them, they thought they had a good idea. and they was like, well, we already made them now, so I guess we keep them. And so they just had him in the background, running back and forth, getting coffee and, and popsicles and
doing the dishes.
doing the dishes real fast. And, when you have a character that could only run fast, what do you expect? So I shouldn't have respected that much from the movie because he can only run fast. So
I thought the good takeaway
that's not really a superpower.
It was good to see Ben Affleck back as Batman, and I like that action sequence the Batman had actually. The bit where he's chasing the car on his bike, and then he fires his grapple hook and he's sort of gliding. He's gliding while he's fighting them.
Yeah,
that was good.
That might have been the only part of the movie when I think about it. I almost forgot about that part. It was okay. And after that was it.
And then when Keaton fought as well.
Yeah.
He just jumped to that guy's back, then he was just planting bombs on him while he was fighting him.
It's funny that the best parts of the movie wasn't from the star character.
It was Batman.
Yeah. The star protagonist couldn't pull up enough to carry its own movie. Wow, that was deep. That's really insightful by you. I didn't think about that, man.
Yeah. So this podcast today is going to conclude on The Flash is not a superhero. He's trash.
I could say some fucked up shit right now, but
let's be honest.
Let's move on.
DC's broken in a way, aren't they? In a nutshell, but the movies are just ruined. I don't know what they're doing with them.
I wish they would get together. I do like DC. They just not getting it together right now.
Their cartoons are perfect. They're on spot. But their movies, their live action movies, are just awful. They just keep messing them up. But anyway, so we've got to roll on to the last topic then. Ashtray, were we up for that or not?
Go on. Make it a quickie. That's what she said.
The last topic is have a quickie. I'll get a cookie. PlayStation 5 RPG to rival. So this is a headline that some guy called Richard Lee Breslin came out with today.
What a dumbass.
I don't know what thing is. Yeah. Anyway, the headline is PlayStation 5 RPG to rival Starfield and beat Zelda on Metacritic. So he's sort of branding this as a PlayStation 5.
Wait, could you repeat that again?
Yeah.
PlayStation 5 RPG to rival Starfield and it beats Zelda on Metacritic.
That's the title of the friggin' article.
Yeah. That's why actually RPG. Again, like, did I miss something?
No.
Like, are you okay?
If you look in the Discord, it's actually there. Look at the Discord. Yeah. So
to get away with
it, he's actually hyping this as he's branding this as a PlayStation 5 exclusive RPG. And he says it's going to rival Starfield, basically, and it's better than Zelda. So, go on. Who wants to run with it then?
Well, it's just interesting that later in the article, he says that as time of writing this, Baldur's Gate 3 is only available on PC and is arriving on PlayStation 5.
I know it.
September 6th. So, I'm starting to get annoyed at these guys that they actually should be fucking fined or jailed or some fucked up shit to stop them from this fake
jailed and bummed
crap. Jailed and bummed. I don't know about just a holding cell for a little bit, just to scare them. But seriously, this shit should be illegal. It's clearly the title to this article is just wrong and false. It should be illegal. We shouldn't be allowed to write that sort of thing because it's not true at all. And you're selling a product, which is he's selling his article, and that's just lies. It's just full lies. It doesn't matter what he says within the article to then sort of get away with it. He's getting. You saw
MBG's article. His comments were flagged by Twitter for saying the same thing. So I do get what you're saying too, that it is false. But in all honesty, though, you should really be ashamed of yourself for toting this line of a PlayStation lie like this, and they're not even paying you to do it. this doesn't make any sense. It's not exclusive. It's not exclusive at all. The game, if they didn't run into whatever technical difficulties they run into, the game will be out at the same time. Now, we were in a party once before, and in the party, the conspiracy theory came up that they actually wanted to move the date for Baldur's Gate, and they didn't want it to go up against Starfield, and so they came up with the whole the split screen thing. And I thought it was funny, but at the same time, I was like, it'd be funny if it was true, but it would make some sense. But because I wouldn't want that against Starfield, but at the same time, though, I just don't. I really hate and can't stand seeing that narrative being pushed. That first of all, the game. He was saying the game is better. Listen, you could say that one game is great because it's already been out and it's got only a few reviews, but it's got enough reviews. You could go off of that. But then how could you say, like, people, like, they're also going with the narrative of, well, don't play Starfield, play the better version, play Star Citizen, or play the better version, No Man's Sky. How can No Man's Sky be the best? First of all, none of you ever played it. Let's stop that. And how could you say something how can you say something's the better version if you've never played it? And the other game's not out yet, so you can't even compare the two. So how could you say one is the better version over the other one? I'm done with those guys with that. And it's awful to see media journalists, gaming journalists, quote unquote. That's why we always keep giving them that asterisk, because they're not really
they're not real journalists.
They're not really. Yeah, no, not anymore, because the journalist is objective, and they give you the information, and you make the decision on how you want to look at it. In this instance, they're telling you how to feel about it and how to look at it, and I think a lot of those guys really want to be journalists, but I think that they let their love for their one console overcome everything else. And I think sometimes too, it might be promoted in the office because of the fact that PlayStation pays the bills when you really think about it. So they probably don't mind you doing that. And if anything, they may even encourage it. But me personally, I think it's embarrassing, though.
Well, I mean,
it's the whole thing about. I was going to say, it's the whole thing about him. While writing this article, I discovered that. Yeah, but you carried on writing it though, and you still released it. You didn't correct your article. You just carried on writing it, even though you knew that it was also coming to PC and coming to PC first. But you just carried on writing it and using that headline. So he's admitting basically to lying and clickbaiting. And also,
so
our
brothers, I hate to interrupt
releases,
Guru for 1 second. I have to get going.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
fair enough. You got somewhere else better to be. We get it.
Yes. Cutie's leaving party.
Oh, hey. Oh, spicy. Hey there now. Oh. Listen, I'm not touching that one.
Man,
fellas,
so are you
it's
getting
always
ready
a
for your
pleasure.
show? Is that what it is?
Oh, the show is already literally starting. It's 7:02.
Oh, right. Well, it's going to be a big show this week.
Yeah. So, listen, pleasure joining you guys, of course. K-Mega, good to chop it up with you, brother. Bushido.
Yeah,
good. Bushido,
Yeah. I wish I would have known you would have been here. I would have thought of some reason I wouldn't be here. So,
I mean, we'd have carried on either way if you weren't here, so it works out. But it checks out.
But at the same time, the ratings would have been lower. So,
listen,
that's not true because I'm here. But anyway, continue. Go ahead.
There you go. So listen, fellas, thanks for having me. You guys can join us over at the Xbox Infinite podcast in a second. Headed over there right now.
Really advertising somebody else's podcast. Wow.
And you can also see me on find me on Twitter, Infinite Umber or Umber Infinite. You'll find me either way. And thanks for having me, guys. I gotta go.
Always a pleasure, man. Enjoy your show.
Later, fellas.
See ya.
See you later.
Too.
Look, what I said before might be a little harsh about jail time, but I mean, come on, man, it's bordering on fraud. in my opinion, and I'm just sick and tired of it. K Mega.
No, I got what you.
Yeah, it's not too harsh. I don't know. It's just
No.
it really is lies and fraud. It's a fraudulent statement, right? Anyone else in business, if they did fraud, would get arrested or fined or whatever. I mean, this is the same sort of shit.
Yeah.
I don't know.
He doubles down further down if you read it. He says it's not coming to Xbox due to technical limitations of the Series S.
Yeah.
Which they come out and said it's not, didn't they? Didn't they come out and say it's not that?
No, I think it was something. It was a split screen issue or something like that.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was. So yeah, and so I mean, that could be legit. I mean, because now after hearing about the Forza news today, so we'll be talking about that. They were talking about like at launch, and I don't even think it'll be a launch thing. I think with the split screen, I think that they'll probably just abolish the split screen for Forza Motorsport. Yeah. But then there's also not going to be spectating mode, and then for the online mode, they won't have AI for the online mode, but they said that that's at launch. So. Those things might come a little bit later. And I don't know, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I said this yesterday in my video that it was going to happen, that they were already talking about it. And it was about to, the media there was going to be some form of media that was going to use it as a talking point to try to get the discussion off of Starfield. And it's disingenuous, it's disrespectful, not only to gaming journalist that wants to do it the right way. But I mean, it just comes to show while there's more people that starting to listen to more content creators than they are the gaming media, because they have gone completely left starting last gen. Like they're just too, the favoritism for one or the other, mostly for PlayStation is ridiculous. Like, I mean, it's right in your face. And I mean, and even when there's some so-called Xbox journalists, the one time that they do get the biggest draw is when they're saying something negative about Xbox. And so therefore, when they see that they're getting the clicks, that's where they usually go to, when they rarely don't talk about the positive things that's going on within Xbox. There's always got to be, well, this is good news, but this is another thing that we need to be worried about, instead of it being like what they would do with PlayStation or Nintendo, and just talk about the good thing that is going on within that topic right then and there. That's always an asterisk or a but in that discussion when it comes into Xbox, and that's just what it is. And so I think that's why a lot of people, like I said, just move into content creation or content creators, because it seems to them that it appeals to gamers more than what we see within gaming media. Because when you have people that don't even play games to the degree to where they don't know how to use the jump button properly or anything of that nature, then shit, like it's like, why would you take these people seriously?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it just seems to be a lot of hate.
Very frustrating.
Downplay of stars.
Yeah, it's real frustrating,
isn't it? Really. Yeah. Hyping up PlayStation, hate Starfield.
Yeah, I mean,
it seems to be at all costs. Everyone's just trying to ruin Starfield.
Right. Well, but this is the thing. The media has been hyping this. The media's been hyping Starfield for years. All of a sudden, here, just once it's now this starting kind of like a little bit of last year, but then starting this year, they're starting to now bring this put a layer of doubt of, will this game succeed? You guys said this game was a generational success. You're the ones that got gamers hyped over Starfield. Now you want to ask these questions? It's it's bizarre to me. And now that Baldur's Gate, which people did talk highly of Baldur's Gate, but nobody didn't see this coming with Baldur's Gate. But to try to use a game like that and go against Starfield instead of highlighting that it's a fantastic year overall in gaming, and then you just add Starfield to the mix, should be a positive and should be a given, but instead they want to make this division so they can keep that Xbox PlayStation console war cooking over there on their end.
Agreed.
Perfect timing.
Excellent point.
Bashuda, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No. Like I said, those were excellent points. That's everything in a nutshell. I was already thinking, and then some. I just would like to add that this is the greatest year in gaming, and it's not even over. And it's so good that I'm so spoiled that I didn't want to play Atlas Fallen because I was like, it looks and I'm like, there's some other great games I want to play. I want to play Liza P and Starfield and Alan Wake 2, and there's still other games that I've forgotten about that is coming out this year. This has been absolutely a fantastic year in gaming. And instead of just celebrating adding that game, Starfield, to that list of names for this generation, for this year, you'd rather have somebody just take a dump on it and just do something like that. I wonder what happened to the whole, those developers that done a lot of work, and it's disrespectful to sit on their work and not give them the respect they deserve for it. But that, like I always said, it was always only about Sony developers. It wasn't about third party or anybody else. It was always just about PlayStation developers.
Yeah, it's only gonna get more exciting next year as well, because also then the Sensual actress in Hellblade 2 has hinted that they might be at Game Pass. Might be at Gamescom this year. So
that'd be nice.
Recently. So
nice
it's only gonna get more exciting next year, because that's hopefully you'll see some. Everyone complaining there's no gameplay. It's gameplay. But
my theory for that is, I think the theory for that is that a lot of that is meant on purpose, because I think that we don't know a lot about the game, so showing combat would kind of give up some secrets. I wonder if that's the case. That some of the stuff that they've been trying to hide.
It's not their time yet. The game is not coming out this year. So, I mean, this is Starfield and Forza, it's time. Right. And plus the games that's coming on the Game Pass. Like, if this game was coming out this year and we didn't see it, then that's definitely cause of concern. But that game is not coming out until next year. We don't know if it's going to be first or first quarter or what, but they'll, let these games, let Starfield and Forza cook, and let that game when it's ready, let them show it.
I agree.
So that's my thing of it. That's my thing. I
still think it's going to be great. I don't care what anyone says.
That's my most anticipated game so far.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about that game even a little bit.
Me neither.
No, I don't think you'll be. I think it's a lot of anti-export Starfield news that's trying to ruin it for everyone. But I think the game's going to be 100%. Same as Hellblade 2. But anyway, I think we're going to round out there. I think we're pretty much done.
Yeah, it's been a good show. Good topics. No, all good, mate. I'm done. I'm done for this show. I won't be on next week. I've got family commitments I've got to do. But Red will be back, and people like her more, so that's great.
That is true.
I don't blame them. I mean, who wouldn't, right? Just as long as she doesn't crap on too much about her holiday.
I'm just going to mute her when she starts talking about her holiday, because I really don't care.
Just put her on mute.
Yeah.
But it's been good to have you guys. Oh, you go. Yep. It's your show.
No, go on. You go.
It's your show. You do it.
Oh, okay. No, it's been fantastic having you both on here. Obviously, Mr. Bajito, we've had you on here a couple of times now, and it's great having you back, K Mega. We'd love to have you both back again.
It's been a while.
Fantastic guests. Yeah. We'll probably have Infinite back as well. But he sort of just fills a void, doesn't he? No,
well, when we can't find anyone else.
Yeah, we can't find anyone else. Yeah.
He said can't find somebody else.
Wow.
He's like the foam stars of guests.
Damn.
Nah. He's all right.
He's happened on 4 times now. I think this is the 4th time.
4th time?
But
yeah, I think this is the 4th time. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be about right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, very
but
good.
firstly, K-Mega, where can we find you before you shoot off?
Yeah, I'm going to have a podcast in about 45 minutes of my own, having the GRG podcast here, and doing the double duty. Do not mind it. Love talking about games. Hope you guys will come and check it out. Give Umbra his hour, and then come and watch a real podcast. No disrespect. No, but much love to him. No, you know what I'm saying? You can catch GRG. It's going to be available. So there's tons of podcasts on Fridays now. I remember when I first started, it was just two: Crossfire and GRG.
Man, you're
And,
an OG.
yeah.
true.
Now. And
I remember that too.
It's fun speculation. It's every goddamn thing now. So I mean, it is what it is, but it's still good that what I'm saying, we still have a fan base and people still come by and check us out. So if you want to come and check us out now, when we start at 8, or if you want to come and check us out during the weekend, whatever, during part of next week, it's all it's all love. I do appreciate it. Also, we'll be doing Fight Night Sunday, Sunday night. We'll be streaming. I usually do it kind of late, but I'm going to try to do it around like 8 p.m. Central Time, 8 to 9 o'clock Central Time started. And that's, if you haven't heard of Fight Night Sunday, it's just me playing all different types of fighters. I'll be playing Killer Instinct. We'll be playing Street Fighter 6.
Just make sure you play it on your Xbox, man, and not a PlayStation.
Yeah.
You know, when that overheating issue.
It'll be on the Xbox. And then also there's a new fighter that just dropped on Xbox called Giga Bash. It is a Khonshu fighter. It's got Godzilla and Mothra and all types of different characters on there. So we'll
say
run through that.
what?
Where's that drop? Where's that release?
It came out this week. So it came out this week on Xbox. It's called Giga Bash. Yeah, it's on PC as well. I got it on PC, but that's how I knew about it. But then seeing that it was coming to Xbox, so I gotta, I support my fighters. So come and check it out. So yeah, it's pretty wild. It's kind of, it has like a Rampage type of vibe to it, or sorry, Attack on Monsters vibe. It's top down and just kick some ass and throw people through buildings and stuff. Is pretty fun. But anyway. Yeah, but that's it, man. Hope you come and check it out and check out my channel, KMega405, and then also on Twitter at KMega4. Really do appreciate it.
Yeah,
awesome, man.
Check him out, guys.
Appreciate it.
Bushido.
Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to the OGs like KMega and Dirk Riggedy for like holding it down when Xbox had nothing. And I mean nothing to be,
boy, we was getting
proud of.
We was in the podcast getting our legs beat, but we was
yeah. My man's Xbox held it down with that too. I mean, man, it was rough, and these dudes still was hanging on to it. I have to admit though, they made me proud to still be an Xbox fan, to see that it's not just you. And they was holding it down strong, never wavered or nothing like that. I appreciate it about these guys. But
thank you, man.
Outside of that, I want to say you find me on the KY Bobby show, which is called Game Set Live, every Thursday at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 8 p.m. And that is it. You can find me on Xbox, PlayStation, the Twitterverse as Mr. Bushido N7, and that's it. Just sitting back, trolling and goofing off. That's just me.
Yep. Astro, you there?
Yeah, man.
Oh, okay. Do you want to say anything? Do you want to maybe mention anything about your channel?
Yeah, there's no content. There hasn't been any content for a while.
Okay.
Life and stuff. What about yourself? When's your next Ghosts video?
Okay, come out once a month. So we have to wait.
I look forward to those on a gaming channel.
Yeah, you love it. But anyway, once again, it's been great having you both and Infinite. And we'll hopefully have you back soon. Thank you, the chat. We've had a great chat today. Who's still in the chat? We've still got other Zinc, Sappho. We had Epic Treasure in the chat earlier, showing her face. Pyro. And Risk It's still around, McBound. But thank you all for joining us. please sub, share, and like, and check out these guys' channels, and please sub to them. Feel free to drop a link to your channels into the chat, guys. And we're going to drop off now. Thank you all, and goodbye for now.
Thanks, guys. See you.
Thanks.